Two screens, two different views. That's what we're all about. Welcome to Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
This is Chris Henschel.
And this is Shane R. Monroe.
And welcome to yet another fantastically fun-packed episode of Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
Listening is good.
How you doing this week, Shane?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
Not too bad.
Yeah, we say that we talk like this, like we never talk to each other than on the show. When in reality, it's like we're practically Siamese twins joined at the hip.
Well, this week we've got, it's kind of a lower end show for everybody out there who likes to complain about the length of the show in general. We have our editorial, which we're going to discuss the demo distribution model of the Nintendo DS at various GameStops and Targets and whatnot. We have a review this week where we're featuring Star Fox Command. Shane's got a Twitch review of the Daytel DS headset. And, of course, we have the ever-popular Storytime Theater with Shane R. Monroe, and I have a couple little interjections that I don't know if it would really be Storytime Theater, but it's close enough. I'll throw it in there.
Close enough.
We have our typical coming attractions out now, and then we're going to round it out with the Touch and Go and some site updates, outro kind of thing, just to let everybody know what's going on with the website. We got some big news ahead of, concerning the website.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, you definitely want to tune in for that.
Oh, definitely.
And we didn't get a good enough mail sack this week, this episode, so...
Mail sack's out.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to put your sack back in your pants because we don't have anything for the mail sack.
Yeah, it's a shame because I love doing the mail sack. It's just funny reading some of the emails. It's great. Some of the emails we get are really fun to read. But unfortunately, between now and the last show, we've gotten plenty of mail. But for the most part, it's based around things that people have found wrong with the site or complaints or things that they think we should be doing rather than simple, DS-related stories, which are kind of interesting to hear. So hopefully by the next show, everybody will be getting some more interesting emails our way.
Yeah. So no mail sack, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We got plenty of other things to talk about. Still have a great show for you, as always.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Well, yeah. Let's just jump right into the editorial. Myself and Chris, just before the show, were talking about how Nintendo's almost dropped the ball on the whole demo thing. That's one of the things about Nintendo products, and especially with the forthcoming Wii, is that you got to touch the thing. You got to hold it in your hand. You got to play it. You can't watch it on TV. You can't see it on a website. The touch
something
screen.
You got to experience.
You have to touch it. You got to hold it, and especially with the DS Lite, you got to put your hands on one, and you got to see how bright those screens are and how crisp and clean they are, especially if you own a DS Classic and you're trying to decide whether to go to the Lite. You can't do it without putting your paws on it. And we've both noticed recently, especially, that Nintendo, originally we started off with the demo stations. In other words, we had one or two DSs hooked up into something that you couldn't steal them, anti-theft stuff, and a couple of games, one or two games that you could play on display. You might remember seeing Tetris, Super Mario Brothers.
True Swing Golf.
True Swing Golf was on a demo.
Metroid Prime Hunters.
Hunters was on there. But all of and those were good titles. Those were the sort of games that you want to show off the capabilities of the DS, right? So it made good sense. Well, when the Lite came out, I expected overnight for every demo station to change out their DS Classics and put these nice, sleek DS Lites on there. I mean, after all, the Game Boy SP Brights, or what do they call them? SP Lights.
SP, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like SP version 2 or something like that.
Yeah, those new brighter screened SPs. They had those on display the day they came out. So I expected to see the DS Lites flocking out onto center stage, but still, as of last week, I went to a Best Buy, and I swear Best Buy and Sony are so deep in bed together, they're deep in the closet that they're finding Christmas presents in there, because they treat the DS like the bastard, redheaded bastard stepchild of the family. They still don't have a Lite at my local Best Buy.
And yet the PSP, I don't know if it's anything like my Best Buy, but the PSP is basically covered in like every kind of piece of protected armor there is known to man.
Oh, there are 2 PSPs on display.
Meanwhile, the Port DS, that actually I think it is a light we have at our Best Buy.
Oh, you do? Well,
yeah, but
for you.
Fortunately, the thing looks like it's been gone over with a razor blade. You know,
right.
like I'm gonna knife you. I'm gonna knife you up, bastard. You know,
cut you.
Cut you deep.
Yeah, you know, and that's so funny. I mean, it costs you $4.99, and that's our price. I mean, you can imagine the stores probably pay like $2 for those things. They just throw a screen protector on it. I mean, if you're showing off merchandise, wouldn't you do your best? I mean, you dust the things, you clean it, you put it in pleasant poses. You know, you do everything. I mean, why should the DS be, you know, handled any differently than a PSP or the Xbox 360 display that's on the other corner? I don't know. And then they pack like every game that they own into like 3 little tiny racks at Best Buy. I don't know how your Best Buy is.
It's the same way. I think
like,
it's like maybe 1/3 of the aisle or something like that.
Yeah, maybe a quarter of our
if
aisle.
Even. Yeah, quarter of the aisle.
And another quarter of the aisle has like the accessories. And it's all crappy accessories that you would never need.
You know what the worst is when I go into a store, and actually a lot of Targets around me seem to be doing this. I mean, I've seen a few that are changing their ways since the light came out. But they pack actually it's a Walmart that's really bad at this. They pack the DS games intermixed with the GBA stuff.
Yeah, ours do that too.
It kills me to see, you know, Barbie's Great Pony Ride, you know, mixed in next to like I don't know, True Swing Golf or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that, you know, there's one of our Targets actually has a case that says Nintendo DS above it.
Nice.
Which is actually the best display I've seen, since every other store just has Game Boy and then the DS stuff's just stuffed in there, like you said. Yeah. But even in that case that has Nintendo DS in it, they still have overflow Game Boy games in there.
And they're not even good games. I mean, they're shovelware kiddie titles.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it just makes me mental to see that. You know, you have Metroid Prime Hunters, which is, you know, probably one of the better first-person shooters out there, handheld or not.
To it, you have Dora the Explorer.
Yeah. How are you supposed to take something like that seriously, man? Come on. Guys are killing me. And then if you know, to add, you know, insult to injury, when you do have demo models out, what are the games that you see in it now? You don't see AAA titles like you'd expect to see. You don't see Mario Hoops. You know, you don't see Star Fox Command. What do we get? We get Pokemon Rescue Blue.
Mystery Dungeon or whatever, yeah.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue. Chris, why don't you explain to the good people how great this demo is?
Well, lately I went over to the EB Games here at the local mall. I haven't been in there in quite a while because, frankly, the manager that's in charge of the place is this terrible woman that's just a very annoying person. You know, you have to tell her 5 times that you don't want any help. And then she comes up and she starts talking chatty-catty with me about the DS system like she really gives a crap, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, did you play Brain Age? Yeah, months ago. Thank you. Goodbye. Well, I'm looking at the demo station, and right off the bat, you know, it's the newer demo stations, too. It's not the ones that you normally see in a Walmart or something where it's just a DS kind of hanging out on a little piece of plastic. This is actually a nice big stand that lights up and everything, and it's right there. I was shocked. I mean, yeah. It looks like it's been through hell, but just,
well, of course,
you know, it looks like a kid's been chewing on it. But it says New Super Mario Brothers on one side, and the other side said Tetris DS. So I'm thinking, yeah, okay, same typical, you know, demo kiosk that I've seen for months now. Although on closer inspection, it turns out that the side playing New Super Mario Brothers is actually playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue. So I said to myself, oh, let me check this out. I mean, you know, I heard some complaints that the demo sucked from Shanester here.
Yeah.
And I said, let me see, get a first-hand look. I haven't seen the game yet in person. I want to check it out. Not a big Pokemon person because it's not really part of my, you know, phase in terms of growing up. I was well beyond where I was. So I checked it out, turned it on, and it looked like it was already in mid-demo. Like, you know, somebody started it and then walked away. because it had two of the characters in a little bubble of some text in it. So I said to myself, okay, well, let me see what happened. Obviously, this person gave up on it, much like I was about to, because it must have been in the middle of the conversation, and they said, I've had enough of this. I'm leaving. I'm heading for the PSP section.
Yeah.
I'm bored. I need some 50 Cent bulletproof. So, I'm hitting the button. I'm going through the talky stuff. I'm not reading it because I don't really need to know the story. I just it's a demo. I want to be caught. I want it to capture me and tell me what kind of gameplay it has. I mean, I'm used to games having some kind of text in it these days to, at least tell you how to play or, what the story's about. But this was just nonsense, like, oh my God, I've been turned into a Pokemon. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So he must have hit the button about 10 times. I hit the B button to go next and next. And all of a sudden, my character moves. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, great, the game's going to start. But no, he moves about maybe halfway across the screen, and another character comes in and starts talking to him again. I'm like, okay, I'm hitting the button, I'm hitting the button. At this point, it's been at least maybe 3 minutes since the first time I walked up to this kiosk to check this game out.
And you're still not playing the game.
And yeah, I'm still not playing this game. Now, this is all fine and dandy if this is a game I bought. This is a game I brought at home, I cracked it open, and I'm planning to spend the next, 20 hours playing over the next who knows how long. But this is, I'm a customer. I'm a paying customer in the store. And I'm here to check out new games and see if they offer anything that's interesting to me. It's not interesting for me to sit here and wade through text and text and text of Charizard talking to Pikachu. So I got a little frustrated, and I was about to walk away. And I said, well, meanwhile, the wife's in a department store, so I'm thinking, I'm not really rushed for time here. I'm just kind of trying to kill time as it is. So I don't really have anywhere else to be at the moment, so I kept pushing it. And finally, the game started. Okay, it faded out. I went into a different screen, and I'm moving around. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, this is interesting. I'm moving around, and I have one button I can push. It's an attack button. So I walk up, and stupid me, I clicked on a character, which I shouldn't have done because now I'm being onslaughted with more balloons. So at this point, I said, I'm out of here. I put the game down. Well, it's in the case. I stepped away from the game. And I said, I just as soon go back to the department store and close shop with the wife.
Wow. There you have it, folks. The Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue is less interesting than watching your wife shop for clothes. We have it solved. And part of the problem here, folks, and okay, let's say that is the essence of Pokemon games. You want to sit and read text for 20 hours. First of all, that's not what I want to do. But maybe that's what you want to do. Cool.
It failed to capture my imagination.
It failed to capture my imagination, too. But let me put the caveat out there. Let's say that you wanted to stand at a demo kiosk and read text for 5 minutes. That's all the time you get. See, the demo is limited to 5 minutes of gameplay, 5 minutes of playtime. So Chris spent 3.5 minutes probably reading text bubbles, and in a minute and a half, the demo was going to be over anyway. So once again, I got to ask Nintendo, what are you thinking? Now, this isn't the first time that I've ran across a demo that said, what are you thinking? The other demo was the Metroid Prime Hunters demo.
I was just going to say, I bet it's Metroid Prime Hunters. Terrible demo.
A terrible demo. You have to dig through screen after screen, cutscene after cutscene to actually get to the meat of the game. And it's like, listen, somebody in Nintendo's demo department needs to wake the hell up and realize you have to be engaging. And, the PSP's no better because I stepped over once I got bored of the Pokemon Blue demo, and I went to look at the PSP. And instead of waiting 5 minutes for text bubbles to go by,
waiting for 5 minutes of loading.
You wait for 5 minutes of load time before you actually see anything. And get this, and I'm just going to bust on the PSP's balls right now because they need to have their balls busted too. What game would you put, if you could choose right now, what game to put on a PSP for a demo, what would it be?
Burnout.
Okay, guess again. What is proclaimed as the best game on the PSP?
The Grand Theft Auto?
Damn it, you're not working with me here, Chris. I knew I should have made some notes. Every time I hear somebody talk up the PSP, I hear, Luminous, Luminis.
Oh, Luminis.
Luminis is the best game ever.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I'm trying to think a little more recent. I mean, Luminous was a date and time release with the PS.
Right,
PSP.
right. But if you've got an audience, now think about it. Now Luminous would make sense, or Luminis, or whatever you pronounce it. That would make sense because it's quick to get into. You can actually play the mechanics. You're not running through FMV screens for 20 minutes. It would be a good demo title. They didn't have it on that demo. I mean, it was all running off UMD, so it's not like you ain't got room.
Well, the problem is with Luminous or Lumines, however the hell you want to say it. There's just I don't think there's probably enough going on there to really showcase the system.
Dude, it had Lemmings on it.
Oh wow.
It had Lemmings, but not Luminous.
I'm shocked that they actually put Lemmings on the
Lemmings
demo.
was on that demo.
See, that's why I was guessing Burnout or Grand Theft Auto, because I would think you would want games that showcased what this thing was about.
You know what they had? Movies. They had video clips, music videos.
Yeah, because I've never seen video played on a screen so small,
Yeah, exactly.
It's an amazing thing.
It's really funny that, that both handhelds have the same sort of problem. And, to go back to the DS, which is what the show's actually about, we're done lambasting on the PSP for now anyway. The other demo, along with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue or whatever, was the famed, highly overpriced, highly overhyped Tenchu Dark Shadows, which I haven't yet seen a positive review on, or anybody that has anything good to say about it. So it's like, okay, so we've got all of these great titles, and
something wants me to go over. Something wants to make me go over and kick the person who decided to put Tenchu in this demo kiosk instead of, say, Star Fox Command or Mario Hoops. I just don't understand. First of all, it's only recently that I discovered that Tenchu was even, produced by Nintendo. So obviously somewhere in there, there must have been a licensing deal with the company behind Tenchu, which I believe is a company called From Software. And obviously there was some kind of deal going on where, they must have had to get this game out. They probably said, you're being licensed to create one game for the DS system. And this company probably wanted to get out, probably said, you know what, it's the PSP that's going to be the big hit. Let's bail out. Let's just put out this piece of crap game and close our deal with Nintendo. And that's what I think this is. I think Nintendo said, you know what, the game's done. We might as well cut our losses and release it. And that's probably why it's exclusive to GameStop. I think they realized how crappy it was.
So let's let GameStop sell it. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And then you've got the brilliant DS download station. Now, to me, when I heard about this, I thought, you know what? Finally, somebody figured it out. I can sit in my car outside of GameStop and download the latest demo. How cool is that? I mean, to me, that was like breakthrough.
Is really cool.
That's like breakthrough gaming right there.
And I was really hoping that would take off more. That you would see these demo download stations all over the place, like even McDonald's or something.
They're everywhere, though. I mean, even places that I don't expect to see it. Even Fry's has one, and
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, Fry's got one, and I was very surprised. Fry's loves the DS. Fry's has a huge section on DS now, so they're trend spotters, and they've got a huge DS section. Now they have a DS demo station. It's like cool, but guys, you got to give us an update more than twice a year.
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon Troze, I mean, I like the game, but dude, you got a lot more titles here to work with. You got to do something. I mean, how hard is this okay, here's what you do. Okay. Here's what you do. Go and get super cards, Nintendo. Go buy a whole bunch of super cards. Something that the employees can update. Something that doesn't require a lot of brilliance. Write a little interface for the PC, whatever. Okay? And have the employees on site download the latest demos and update them on the card. Because I can tell you right now, as you've already heard in a previous show, if you've been listening long enough, the DS demos download stations are just an old refurbished DS that has a regular DS cartridge in it that actually sends out and receives requests for games. That's all it is. But the problem is in order to make that work out, they've got to send Nintendo reps once a quarter with these new cartridges and get these new cartridges put into the DSs. Now, that's got to be a logistics nightmare to actually make a real DS cart with all these demos, shoot them out to the individual distribution sites, have those sent down to the regional managers, who then have to take them to the actual managers, who then have to filter it down to an employee that get the cartridge into the demo system.
Right, the Nintendo rep, as they call them.
Yeah, the Nintendo rep. That's only like one or two steps up at the chain. You know that there's like 5 other steps before them, to get the demo to them. I haven't met a Nintendo rep yet that actually knows what's going on. The Nintendo rep at my GameStop hadn't even seen a DS Lite, and I was carrying one around with me. What is that? How are you a Nintendo
I don't know.
rep?
I really think they've dropped the ball with the whole thing. I mean, I'm hoping that once the Wii finally comes out, that we'll see more of a push for the DS than we have lately. I don't know about you, but every EB or GameStop I go into, the DS is always back in the corner.
Yeah.
Next to the pre-owned GameCube stuff, or the 5-year-old DVDs that they're trying to sell that are pre-owned. It's like they're in a little nook in the corner, and it hurts to see this system. It's got so many great games, and even when you go up there, most of the games aren't even new; they're pre-owned games. It's almost like the system was on its way out or something.
Yeah, what does that say? What does that say to the customer?
And I don't know if it's because Nintendo's just not paying that money, because Sony's got to be throwing around some bucks to get the PSP right front and center to the left of the store when you walk in.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that kind of real estate for UMD movies without throwing a few bones at them once in a while.
There's got to be something. Maybe somebody in our audience who actually knows the truth. No speculation, please. We can speculate all day long. But if anybody actually knows how that works out, who dictates what gets the shelf space? Because I remember watching my beloved DS games taken off the wall and shoved into a center cart, a center rack, so that UMD movies could be stacked up in quantity where my DS games used to be.
Well, that's how the one GameStop is by me. They have them on, one of those white metal racks.
Yeah.
Kind of off center in the middle of the store. It's not. They don't even get wall space.
Yeah, no wall space for the DS. You get a rack. And if you're lucky, you get both sides of the rack. I've seen stores where you get half a rack, and the other half of the rack is split between GBA and DS accessories.
I think something's just wrong. I mean, I don't know if it's the regional people just not doing their job, but there's definitely not enough attention going on here. So.
This reminds me of late Dreamcast days, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where overnight, all of a sudden the DS
exactly.
or the Dreamcast vanished from the shelves, and it ended up in little tiny lockers, and you couldn't see anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like they're thinking the system's on its way out.
I guess they haven't seen the recent numbers.
No.
I mean, how long do you? That's why I say money's got to be changing hands somewhere. You don't see a product outselling their nearest competitor 5-1. Getting treated like the redheaded stepchild of the family. I don't get it. There's one EB Games I saw in the Arizona Mill Malls. The Arizona Mill Mall, for those of you who live in this area, the Arizona Mill Mall EB Games treats the DS right. It's got the DS has half a wall.
Nice.
Maybe not quite half. Maybe somewhere between a third and a half. A full wall. No stacking boxes behind each other. Like every title has its own space. And on the bottom, they take all the used stuff, they turn it sideways like books, and they skew them out. And there's always like 20 to 30 used titles to pick from.
And of course, that's always the big problem with me when they'll put up top like 5 opened new release games. They'll tear the plastic off and line them all across the top. And then you go to buy the game, and the only one they have are those ones that are out in the rack.
Yeah.
So. But it definitely something needs to be redone here. I think really they need to get their butts in gear and get. And the funny thing is, the other week when I picked up Star Fox Command on the Nintendo DS, they had the new books out, the new catalogs for the fall.
I still haven't gotten one of those yet. I need to go to GameStop today and get one.
Yeah, well, good luck. See if they have them. I mean,
probably not.
Maybe I'll just send you one if anything. It's just a really nice catalog. I mean, it's nothing I haven't seen before, but. For some reason, actually holding this catalog and seeing Fall 06 and then opening it up and seeing all these new games just kind of solidifies the fact that, hey, these are coming. This isn't something that you're being told, yeah, it'll be out. When you're actually looking at it in the official Nintendo catalog and you're seeing Elite Beat Agents and Donkey Kong versus Mario, March of the Minis 2, and you're actually seeing these games listed. It just kind of says something, like, oh my God, these games really are coming out. Rather than having some IGN article say, yeah, the game will be coming out. It's a really nicely well done catalog. Just everything about it's very polished. It's a shame they don't do the same thing for their demo. This is crazy. They could be just sending out. Like you said, they got this DS that's just transmitting a signal constantly. How hard is it really to update that with the latest demo releases?
That's what I'm saying,
But then again, you know what though? In the past, every single demo that's been in these stations has been actually a game that comes with a demo you can transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Pokemon Truzé, True Swing Golf. Except for something like New Super Mario Brothers, that didn't have a demo in it.
Yeah.
But it's really weird because a lot of these games lately haven't had demos that you can transfer from them. I don't know if that's what I've noticed.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that, honestly, is because a lot of the newer games are so big that there's no room to keep a demo copy on there. I think the demos have been a lot of padding. They've got a 32 megabyte cart. True Swing Golf only took 22 megs, so they went ahead and tossed the demo on there.
You get the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and then you got a padding of text.
Hey, dude, they could fit an entire Infocom game on 160K floppy disk with like 5,000 word parsing. They can fit Pokemon Blue on an 8 meg card. Come on.
That's what they need to do. Put all these Infocom games out on one cartridge,
There you
have
go.
a virtual keyboard. And
dude, I'd probably buy that, dude. I dug on the Infocom games, man. I still play those from time to time.
Something you can take around with you. Sitting on the computer, I honestly couldn't get into them. I used to like the Zork games, and I could not get into them. I read the books, the little Choose Your Own Adventures. I used to love them.
Yeah, I love those.
But I'll tell you what, if they could put something like that on the DS, and you could have it so you're holding it kind of like Brain Age, where you could get a book going on,
That'd be cool.
You could read things vertically. That would be awesome. I don't understand. There's so many things. I think Activision owns the rights to them nowadays.
Yeah, I think so too. And they buried those in a deep, deep hole somewhere.
Yeah, along with the ET for the 2600.
Yeah, they're all in a landfill station somewhere.
Somewhere out in the deserts of Arizona.
But for those of you who are not keen, and there's a lot of people that don't know much about the Wii or what's coming, it's very possible that Nintendo simply doesn't want to spend the cash to put up a new demo distribution center when the Wii itself is going to be the ultimate demo distribution center.
Well, see, pretty soon, that's the thing. The Wii is probably going to be at the front of the store. And this is just a theory of mine, but I think once the Wii comes in, they get the kiosk up, and there has been pictures online of what the kiosk is supposedly going to look like for the Wii. Whether they're true or not, I really don't know, but supposedly they're from a GameStop, some kind of a pamphlet that goes out showing the upcoming stuff and how it's going to be, marketed and placed in the store, yada yada yada. And my theory is eventually when this Wii kiosk hits, that all the DS stuff is going to come forward. Because if you think about it, what else does Nintendo have at the moment? The GameCube. The GameCube is basically, it's got 2 feet in the ground right now. So the Wii is going to be coming out. Everybody's excited about it. It's a big mysterious machine. Word of mouth seems pretty good. I think we're going to see the DS stuff being migrated up closer to the Wii, especially given the fact that the Wii is going to have some kind of communication with the DS straight out of the box. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a merging of the two systems kind of coming ahead again. Because right now, the PSP's, the PS3 isn't going to be coming out for a few more months. And until that happens, the Xbox 360 is already out. So I think Nintendo's going to have front row center again, finally, after all this time.
And I think in this case, I think we're actually going to see a real heavy push on the Wii front. I think that, right now the DS is sort of carrying its own momentum. It's able to feed and care for itself. And so they're ratcheting back on, what they're doing for that right now and then gearing up for the Wii launch, which is smart. You can't split your resources out too low or you don't give anybody the proper attention they need. But, it's been incredible the push that this Touch Generations campaign has seen. it's incredible. We actually have, and I'll try to post it somewhere before we release the show. My wife was looking through a parenting magazine. I mean, this is made for barefoot and pregnant homemakers. I mean, literally, that's what this magazine is aimed for. Yeah. And the ad itself is brilliant. Let me pull it out of the scanner here because I had it on the scanner. And it shows this woman sitting in a waiting room, and there's these two other people, an old dude and another woman, and they're sitting here in this waiting room. And it's like 10 minutes to 5. And at the top it says the average wait in a doctor's office is 23.4 minutes. Do something with your nothing. And one of the women has a DS Lite, and she's got a big smile on her face, and you tell she's throwing down. The other two people look like you just told them that their parents just died. It's a great ad. And so they're sitting there looking bored out of their mind, and this other woman's throwing down on the DS. And the whole thing says, you have time. That's nothing time. The time in between everything else you have to do. Touch Generations is a series of games that easily get you in, out, and on with the rest of your day. In a few short minutes, you can make a dent in a Sudoku puzzle or play 3 holes of golf. It's your nothing time. Do something with it. For more games and information, go to touchgenerations.com. I swear to God, dude, I swear they listen to our show or read our forums, dude, because that's exactly how I bill half of what's on the DS. It's filler. That's why it's Twitch gaming.
Right, it's just like when you say you go to the movie theater. You say you sit and play it before the movie comes on, right?
You got 15 minutes.
I mean, who wants to sit and watch all those stupid ads, you know? I mean, you're paying to be there as it is.
Yeah.
And you got to watch ads? No, forget it.
You go to the post office, you take the DS with you. You're guaranteed to have 10 minutes of downtime. Yeah. You know, if you go, I mean, everything you do has padded time. I swear to God, everything has padded time. You go to get your car smog checked, emission checked. I don't know if they do that over in Pennsylvania or not.
Oh, well, I just had my car over there like last month, and I spent I think I was sitting there for about 40 minutes, and the whole time I just sat and played Magnetica.
Right. I mean, you think about it. What part of your day does not have filler in it? Either you're commuting on the bus, or you're waiting in the doctor's office, or you're waiting to do this, you're waiting to do that. You know, it's a perfect ad campaign, and I'm glad that Nintendo picked it up. It's so funny. People who've known me a long time, who've listened to Retro Gaming Radio, even so much as just a few years ago, know that I never had a big love for Nintendo. And all of a sudden I've turncoated and I've become one of Nintendo's biggest fans.
Benedict Arnold.
Benedict Arnold. Turncoat, you know, John Kerry, however you believe that. But, no, but seriously, people ask, well, how can you turn tails so fast? You hated Nintendo, now you love them. How come? It's like, for God's sakes, these people are reading my mind, man. They're doing exactly what I tell them to do. How do you not back a company that basically when you say, you know, the Game Boy SP would be, you know, the Game Boy Advance would be a lot better if it was smaller and had a bright screen on it that I could play in the dark, and 3 months later the SP comes out, you know. You talk about innovative gaming, you know, you want to be able to play something, you know, touching, you know, being able to touch the screen and stuff like that, and then the DS comes out, and then you say you got to fill in time for Twitch gaming, and then they start running the Touch Generation ads. I love these guys.
Yeah, there's a whole big page devoted to the whole Touch Generation thing in the catalog too.
See, that's just brilliant to me.
And they've even got games on there that originally weren't quote unquote part of the Touch Generation, you know, like Tetris, and what's the other one? I totally forgot the other one. I think it was True Swing. True Swing, I think, is one of them. Yeah. But it is funny because, you know, recently when you put out the Best of Retro Gaming Radio Volume 1,
yeah,
and at the end you and Brian are talking about he's got you playing the Super Mario World back on Super Nintendo.
Right.
I mean, that was just great because I remember actually hearing that early on before, and you know, this time I listened to it again, and it's just everything's just so different now because, you know, you hear you talking about the DS and how Nintendo's doing everything right.
Yeah.
And listening to this then and now is just really funny, you know, because you're like, what's with this bullet thing, you know, and then nowadays you'd know that it was Bullet Bill, you know.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, you know, it's like at the end of Rocky IV.
The same complaints you had about the Super Mario World on Super Nintendo, and then you turn around and here we are reviewing New Super Mario Brothers a few months ago, and it's like, who is this person? This is not Shane R. Monroe.
You know, and I'm going to tell everybody the same thing that I've mentioned time and time again in my other venues is that there are differences between what you'll put up with on a computer versus a console versus a handheld. Would I play The Sims on a PC?
No.
Never.
No way.
You'd have to pay me to do that, and I'd still have to consider it.
There's too many better things to do than sitting on a computer.
Right. I mean, dude, I could be working
like
on the website. I could be doing all sorts of things. Now,
right.
What
Too
about
distracting.
on a console? Yeah, I'm going to play The Sims, a point-and-click interface using an analog stick. That's even worse. Not going to happen. But, dude, you take it and put it on the DS when I've got 15, 20 minutes to kill.
Laying in bed before you go to, you just want to wind down a little bit.
It's different. I mean, I don't know what else
the
to tell you.
crapper,
You sit on the crapper. You can, run a couple
you're at
little
the
missions.
dentist office. You're waiting to get your hair cut. I mean, it's perfect. And as long as you can save the game whenever you want, or at least put it in some kind of a sleep mode, you're going to be perfect.
Yeah. See, so it's not so much a matter of would I have played Super Mario Brothers. Well, I did play a lot of Super Mario Brothers, the original one.
Yeah, the original.
I mean, who didn't? I actually played that at the arcade. That's how old I am, and I played a lot of it, Super Mario Brothers. But the fact of the matter is, your perception, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. For those of you who are going, man, I really don't like, I don't like playing Sims on the PC, so I'm never going to try it on the DS. Don't feel like that. Don't be that way. It's okay. When your venue of operation changes, it's worth it to take another look. Don't isolate yourself.
This is the same way I feel about, something like the upcoming Final Fantasy III. I really couldn't be bothered to sit on my couch and play that on, say, like the PS2. Never mind the fact that I'm not into Final Fantasy as it is, but just an RPG in general. Back when I was younger, playing RPGs on the Commodore, it was one thing because I was about, 14, 15
Had
years
lots
old.
of free time.
13, 14, 15. And, I come home from school, do my homework, and then what am I doing? I'm just sitting around. So I'd run and play it on my Commodore. I'd be sitting in front of the monitor. But nowadays, it's one of those things where if I'm going to sit down on the couch and watch something, it's usually going to be a movie. I'm not going to sit here for hours. I don't sit and play video games on a TV for hours at a time anymore, like I did when I was, when the Nintendo came out. I used to sit and play Zelda. I mean, I think I sat and played Zelda for like maybe 5 hours at a time. It's insane. I could never do that now. I'm either ready to go to bed, or I gotta get a shower, I'm gonna have dinner or do something. I mean, it's just, or I'm working.
Yeah.
I just have other things that I need to be doing. But now, now I got this Final Fantasy III coming out. And it's going to be portable, and I'm actually interested in it because this is something I can pick up. I could play like a dungeon or something, and for like maybe 15 minutes, put it in sleep mode or save it, and then put it aside and come back to it later at any time.
Yeah,
so it's just more convenient gaming for me.
Yeah, and even when I'm sitting at home, people are like, "Well, what are you going to do when you're sitting at home? Play a console or play your handheld?" Well, you know what? Chances are likely I'm playing my handheld. And I'll tell you why. Because, the good TV is shared by the whole family, which means I can't sit down and throw down 40 minutes of God of War waiting to find another save point.
Exactly.
I'm going to get ran out of the living room. Now, I can, however, sit on the couch while we're watching some CSI or something. I can sit on the couch and, play myself a little Chronicles of Narnia. That works out.
Yeah.
It's just something that Nintendo needs to figure out, getting back to the whole demo distribution model. They obviously understand. They call it touch generations. I call it Twitch gaming. It's the same thing. It's all good, and I'm glad that they're embracing the concept. I'd have been pissed if they would have called it Twitch gaming, but apparently they chose not to go that direction, which is good because I might have had to sue them.
But at the same time, we need to have demos that bring that whole feeling to the game. I mean, you can't be giving us Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue and have you sit there and tap, because it's not showing you that this is a game that you can pick up and play for 5 minutes and then put away.
Yeah,
and that's
the
type of gaming that the DS is meant for.
You know what? For God's sakes, let Sony do that all they want on the PSP. All that's going to do is drive away Twitch gamers, and it's going to send them right over to the Nintendo kiosk. Now, what they need to do is when they get to the Nintendo kiosk, they don't need to see the same crap that they just saw on the PSP. They need to see, oh, look at this. I've been here a minute, and I've already thrown down a game of pinball. Metroid Pinball was a fantastic demo. Unfortunately, it wasn't on the Lite at the time, so it didn't have, quite as much draw, but that was a fantastic demo. By the time the load screen on the PSP was done, you've already played a full ball of Metroid Prime Pinball. That was a good demo. But
That
for
was a
some
good
reason,
demo.
they're kind of dropping the ball here. I don't know.
Yeah, especially when it comes with the light being out and everything. You know, that's
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, the light is like the socially aware system. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Very true. I mean, we all know the DS is great. We've been playing it since the launch date when we played with the big, giant man clutch size DS. But now that you've got these nice, sleek lights that are attracting Generation iPod, dude, don't drop the ball. You know, the DS is doing great. I'm not worried about its future anymore. But still, I wouldn't be bitching if I didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I want everybody to have a DS. That gives me more people to throw down with. You know, the more people that have DSs, the merrier. Because when I go to some social function, I want to be able to whip my DS out and say, "Hey, who wants to throw down?" And have like 5 other people go, "Oh, I want to throw down." So that's what my goal is.
Especially when you have a game that doesn't require anything but your copy. You know, the play.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Good stuff. Well, do you think we've lamented long enough on the whole editorial commentary?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we
even though we kind of ran off a little bit, but then again, it all comes back in the end.
It all comes back in the end. It's full
what
circle.
We were initially talking about.
Simba.
It's all good.
This is the great circle of life. One day, all of this will be yours.
Yes, Lord Vader.
Yeah, that's great. Our review this month. Man, this just isn't my day. Our review this episode is Star Fox Command, first-party Nintendo title. And Chris was a little bit on the fence, I think, about it because the more recent Star Foxes have been somewhat skewed from the original releases. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah. This game, ever since the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64, the game has been off rails, which a lot of people have been complaining about, and I can see why. I never played the full-on version of the GameCube. I think it was called Star Fox Assault, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I played the demo of it. It was pretty interesting. However, there's something lost when you take out that rail element. And in the past, being on rails would normally say that this isn't any good. You know, you were stuck to a certain screen advantage point. You couldn't do anything. But in Star Fox's case, they did give you just enough leeway to not really make you care about it so much. It was kind of like a Panzer Dragoon kind of thing, you know, from the old Sega Saturn, which is what I think the game was more or less based on. But in this Nintendo DS version, while the game is not on rails, it still gives you that feel that you had from the original Super Nintendo version, which is the one that I pretty much played the most of. It used at the time the Super FX chip, which was, I believe, created by some ex-Amiga guys, who I believe are Argonaut from the UK. And I'm sure I'll get corrected on that, but quite a few games were released with that chip. And if I'm not mistaken, also, a lot of sources are saying that this DS release of Star Fox Command is actually the leftover remnants of what was the Super Nintendo sequel to Star Fox that never got released. I believe due to the fact that the Super Nintendo was kind of long in the tooth at that point, with the new systems like the PlayStation coming out, it kind of got lost in the mix along with something like Yoshi Island did at the time. So anyway, Nintendo has been kind enough to bless us with another Star Fox that I feel really gives you that feel from the old Super Nintendo one, which is always a good thing. And I was on the fence based on the fact that the controls I thought would maybe be a little different and wonky in terms of, you know, using the touch screen. You have to use the touch screen to control the ship. So yeah, the controls. The first thing I did when I turned the game on was go into the options, and you can choose from quite a few different variations of play control. I think there's about 4 of them. Actually, I take that back because it makes it look like you have a lot to play with, but in reality, you don't. You have 2 sets, one with Rumble support and one without Rumble support. And oh yes, this game does support Rumble Pack.
Yeah, somebody throw them a cigar.
So the first thing I did when I go in here is I choose, and I do this for every game, and people look at me like I'm a madman, but I choose to put it on inverted mode. Because right out of the box, when you push up on your stylus, and you control everything with the stylus except for the firing, which is every button on the DS. I know it's crazy, but it somehow works.
It does work.
Yes. When you push up on the stylus, your what is it? R-wing fighter will head upwards. When you slide down on the stylus, your R-wing fighter will fly down, of course, and left and right is left and right. Now, for me, in my insane backwards type of play control, I needed it inverted. And I think this harkens back to the day of when I used to play Gunship on my Commodore 64, because I need it so when I slide down, my R-wing will fly up, and sliding up will move my ship down. It's crazy, and I get looks, but you know what? It works. Do the same thing for Halo. So with that out of the way, and of course I don't have my rumble pack handy, so I turn off the rumble. Once you get into the game, everything's fine. It controls, I think, smooth as silk. And once you get past the initial control scheme of pretty much what I just explained, everything's pretty decent. You have two buttons, one for your, what is that? I guess it would be a figure 8. I guess it would. You kind of do like a spin and then a loop around. And the other little maneuver you can do is just more of your ship will fly out and do a top over spin, and you'll get behind your opponent. You right side yourself 90 degrees.
Yeah, basically a loop and a turnaround.
Right, which is great for when you're being attacked from behind, because then you can loop over the guy and get right behind him and start dishing out your own damage. And it's also a great way to escape from things.
Yeah.
The other actually three controls that you have at your leisure to try to evade the enemy with is a thrust mode. And if you slide is it a slide or a tap? I think it's tap
double
twice.
Tap.
It's a double tap towards the top of the screen, and you'll do a slight little thrust forward.
The longer you hold the second tap,
correct,
you'll continue to thrust as long as you've got energy in your little thrust meter.
Right, and that's the whole problem. You got to use that thrust meter to your best advantage, because it does go down. That leaves a little strategy there for your flying. Tapping down towards the bottom part of the screen will allow you to brake. I found myself, I don't seem to brake too much. I think I kind of forget that I can brake.
I forget about the brake, too.
I tend to like to fly real fast. So,
Me too.
It's great just to play chicken with somebody who's coming right at you and just wailing him with the lasers.
Exactly.
Getting to the lasers, the other thing you can do, hold down the laser button and you can build up a lock. And I think the lock goes up to about 4 stages. So as long as you're holding the targeting on top of your enemy, you hold the power button, the shot power down. It builds up and locks up, and you'll fire a homing blast, which the longer you hold that lock down, the more damage you're going to put on the guy's health bar. And then, of course, you have the roll attack, which it's kind of an attack, but it's also a defense. By doing a spinning circle, kind of something like you do in the Wenden, when you have to spin the little wheels, your ship will do a little spin. By doing the spin, you activate this gravity field, which will suck in all the power-ups in your vicinity. It's a short range, but you can also suck in the stars and other playfield icons, which we'll get to in a little bit. And also, when you get fired upon while you're spinning, the shots will deflect off, and you gain some kind of a point, which will go up towards your power meter. You can build up your power meter by getting shot at, more or less. But the longer you spin, the longer you thrust, will bring down a power gauge up at the top. And overall, you have a time limit where if your time runs out, your ship will crash, because that is ultimately your fuel. And what's great about this game is, and a lot of people don't seem to realize this, I've noticed, I guess they just kind of forget momentarily. But when you blow away an opponent, either in the game or in multiplayer, he'll expel a star. Now, shooting down your opponent is just half the battle. You shot him down, but it doesn't count as a kill until you actually pick up these stars. The more stars you pick up, the more chances are you're going to win. You'll go from last place to first place depending on the stars you have. So what makes this really cool is if your opponent, say Shane, shoots down, Alex Lopez or somebody in our forums, online. He blows him away, and he's saying, yes, I got you. Well, I could come up and easily take his star away from him and put it towards my kill which I think is pretty cool. It really adds to the gameplay element.
Indeed and truly, it adds to the elements. Yeah. There's nothing worse than sliding up behind two guys that are beating the crap out of each other, wasting one of them, and then the other dude that you're shooting at snags your star and gets the kill, and you don't.
So awesome.
So let's talk about the single-player mechanics, and then we'll expand more on the multiplayer mechanics. In the single-player mode, it would originally look like a very short game. The single-player mode shares its game time between two different elements, one being an overhead map strategic element, and, of course, the free-for-all frag fest that we were just talking about.
Which is all in 3D.
Which is all 3D. The top-down view looks like an overhead map, and your challenge, each section or segment or planet or wherever the story takes you, we're not going to talk about the story, who cares? But you'll be taken from planet to planet. You'll be taken from here to there. You'll be engaged in different combats and sorties. You will have different tasks at hand, but it all boils down to the same thing. You're put on an overhead map, and you must deploy yourself and up to, I think I've only seen 2 minions other than yourself. So
yeah. So far per map, the most I've gotten is myself and the 2 other guys.
Yeah.
Usually, I think Slippy and you got Falco. So yeah, and each ship has its own abilities.
Yeah, and that's worth noting as well. So in the overhead map mode, you're given a certain number of turns. You get to move, then the enemy gets to move. Then that's considered one turn. So you plot a course with your stylus, you touch your ship, and you draw where you want the ship to go during that turn. Now, sometimes you'll see things on the screen that you can engage, such as the enemy's mothership. Sometimes you'll see things like time bonuses that look like little planets with little swirling constellations around it. That's your time boost. And sometimes you'll also see little missiles. Now, if your path crosses any of those, you'll pick up the missile, you'll pick up the extra time, or when the turn is over, you'll engage the enemy or engage the mothership. So you can do this for each of the people you have control over, as well as your mothership does have some defensive capabilities as well. If you pick up a missile, it gets sent back to your mothership, and your mothership can send that out during your turn and take out an entire sortie of bad dudes.
Which is great for like a last-minute screw up, when you realize you're exposed, because ultimately you have to also, not only do you have to go out and destroy the enemy, but you also must keep tabs on your mother base, because once that goes, the game's over.
Yeah, you lose.
And that's your mothership's only defense, is these missiles that you can kind of randomly pick up throughout the map, which unfortunately in a lot of levels is covered with some kind of a fog, kind of I guess similar to what you see in Advance Wars.
Yeah, you get this naughty fog that comes in. Each round, the fog comes in. So at the beginning of your turn, here's basically what you get to do for each turn. You can draw so much of the fog away. You can wipe the fog away with your stylus. You can only wipe away so much, and you can't change your mind. If you draw something in the cloud and you go, oh, well, I don't want that because I didn't find any enemies in there, I didn't find any goodies in there, too bad. You can't change your mind on what cloud cover you've uncovered. You can, however, alter your ship's trajectory. If you draw out your ship's trajectory and you say, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that after all, you can change your mind.
And of course, every turn you only have so much of a flight path to draw.
Absolutely.
You're limited. I guess it's almost like thinking about like when you're walking your dog in the 10 dogs.
Yes.
You have like a limited amount of ink to draw.
Yeah, to draw. And that's exactly the way this works. But different ships have different lengths that you can draw,
correct,
too.
Right.
And that also adds to the strategy part of it.
It's really cool.
So each of your turns, you're going to blow away clouds. You're going to plot your ship's course. You're going to launch the missile from your mothership if necessary. And then you're going to double tap one of your guys, and that's going to signal the end of your round. And then the enemy moves. And then at that point in time, you've used one complete turn. Now, there are ways to get extra turns throughout the game. They will give you incentives and ways that you can earn extra turns, namely by taking out one of the motherships. Every mothership you take out gains you an extra turn on the game map. This sounds probably more complicated than it really is, but make no mistake, in the higher levels, the first couple levels you're just going to walk right through them, you're going to go, man, why did they even bother putting this in here? Because this is awfully easy. Later on, you will find you will have to do missions more than once because of the cloud cover. And every turn, the cloud cover comes back. So a certain amount of cloud cover returns each round. So you have to take that into consideration, too.
It's definitely got difficulty because, you have to kind of, in a way, do a level perfectly. There's certain, to a point. I mean, you have to, the first time you play, I guarantee you, once you get to the harder levels, there's going to be one enemy that's going to sneak by you that you missed, and you're going to say, damn it, next time I play, I'm going to have to remember he's there, okay?
Exactly.
So sometimes that can get in the way of things, but every turn you're as much as you're given the amount of ink to draw a flight path for your various characters, you're also given a little bit of a ink in terms of erasing things. So you're able to scribble the fog out, and you have a limited amount of erasable stylus to take out the fog with.
Yeah.
So
you
gotta use
and
everything in one move.
Yeah, certain things have to be completely exposed before you can engage them, and this is how they keep you from abusing your fog blowing privilege. For example, you can draw like one little thin line somewhere totally arbitrary in the cloud cover and go, I see a mothership under there. But
Right.
until you scribble enough of it to expose the mothership, it's not engageable yet. So you have to waste your cloud blowing or fog blowing capabilities to completely uncover the enemy. And they'll give you a little indicator that lets you know, hey, you've uncovered enough to engage it. So
what's really cool is, once you draw a flight path through the enemies, you could have three of them stacked upon each other.
yes.
If you draw a flight path through them, and your ship comes anywhere close to their vicinity, the enemy will turn and follow chase. So it's almost like you're leading them away from the mothership. That's always one way of getting them off the mothership's back at the last minute. As long as you fly through them, you'll distract them enough that they'll follow you. So that saved me quite a few times.
So at the end of the turn, once you've moved and the enemy's moved, anyone who's engaged or has opted to be engaged with an enemy or a mothership, a screen will come up and show you all the different conflicts that are currently available. Okay, one guy's engaging a mothership, one guy's engaging 3 different sorties of bad guys, and one is engaging a single sortie of bad guys. So on the screen you have a mothership icon, you have a standard sortie icon, and then you have like 3 sortie icons stacked on top of each other. During that one turn, you can engage all of those missions. So in other words, you tap the mothership, you take the mothership out, it'll return to that screen. Now you've got the 3 sorties or the 1 sortie. Go to the 3 sortie, you wipe all them out, you come back to the screen, you take care of the single sortie. So that's really cool that you can get more than one engagement per turn. And again, this all floats back to the strategy of maintaining that first map engagement. So it's really cool. And then, of course, that drags you into the it's a 3D third-person perspective of dogfighting. And in the solo mode, you'll always have some task to do. When you're engaging the mothership, you have to shoot down what I call little Cylons, because they look like Cylons. For those of you who watch the old school Battlestar Galactica, they look like Cylons to me. But they spin. All right. So you have to shoot down 3 of those, collect their cores, and then you attack the mothership. And attacking the mothership requires that you stay inside of these boxes. That they're basically a guide path that guides you right into the mothership's main weaponry system. Think Independence Day, folks.
No, you know what I'm thinking of?
What do you think of?
It's funny you brought this up, and it just popped in my head. This reminds me of, remember Aliens from the Commodore 64?
I don't. Did they have an engagement like that? I was thinking of Master of the Lamps on the 64.
Oh, I don't.
We had to fly through the rings.
Well, this is almost like that first part of, and it was a really good game. I mean, I think, was it Crane? I think Crane was behind it. Aliens on the I almost said Nintendo 64, the Commodore 64.
Too many 64s.
When you're flying, it replicates the movie. So when they're flying into the original, the planet to take out the aliens, and they're in their drop ship, this music would come on, it'd be almost like ball blazer music, and you'd have these rings, and you had to keep your ship's cockpit within the rings, or if you flew
Yes.
off course, you exploded. So that's what this reminded me of right off the bat.
I
It's
think
really
Tax
cool
Scan,
stuff.
the old arcade game Tax Scan has that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly.
That
Yeah.
might be the absolute first one that had it.
Yeah, but I mean, this game. I mean, even the strategy mode of this game gets a bonus for me because it really reminded me of Space Battle on the television.
Yeah, there's definitely some hat tips to many different variations of games.
It's
and
just
all of them
really
are
cool.
games that I like.
Really cool stuff.
So you approach the mothership through these rings, and the rings get tighter and tighter and tighter. And if just before you hit the mothership, you have to engage a barrel roll, and you take the mothership down. And so the bad guy comes and he says, screw you, pal, I'm going home. And basically, right?
Yeah.
And then and then on the sortie missions, you'll have to knock out X number of bad guys, knock out these flying guys, knock off these guys. And there's a variety of different types of enemies, not just flying things like you'll play in the multiplayer mode, but ones that actually like draw barriers and draw energy beams while you're pursuing them. Some that actually release bombs back at you. So it's kind of a nice little variety of different types of enemies you'll have to engage. And, of course, there's always stuff. There's gun turrets shooting at you from the ground. There's tanks. It's cool. Just put it this way. It's cool. And it's fun. And that's just the single-player game. That pretty much. And then once you go through the entire game, based on what you choose to do, it's sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure thing. Do you go and engage this bad guy, or do you go talk to this dude?
Yeah, because it's got branching levels.
Yeah, so there's branching levels, sort of like Meteos had.
Yes, and as you complete the game and go further into it, you'll be able to go back and replay the game with those different levels unlocked.
Yes.
So it's almost like playing a totally different game.
There are 9 different variations of the game. I haven't even finished one of them, to be honest with you, because
me either.
I've been too busy playing multiplayer Throwdown. And speaking of multiplayer Throwdown, let's talk about how Star Fox works. First of all, the best part of it, well, not the best part, but second best part of it is it's single card play. Every game should be single card play as far as I'm concerned. In other words, you've got Star Fox, you have 6 friends that don't. You all can sit down and you can transmit a copy, enough of the game for them to all engage in a nice multiplayer Throwdown. So that's great. I'm going to tell you. Oh,
I
go
got to
ahead.
tell you though. But remember, before we had a complaint about this because was it? I'm trying to remember what game it was. There was one game where it only allowed, and this is what this is. This actually only allows single card. One player and everybody downloads. Instead of giving you the option to speed things up and have everybody have the copy of the game, you have to download it. So even if I come in the room with you and we both have Star Fox, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to either download it from me or vice versa. And I think that was one of our big complaints before.
Yeah, according to the box, now I haven't tested this out. According to the box, you can do 2 players with multi-card play, but up to 6 players with single-card play.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So if you go, mono-e-mono, you can both use your own card and it'll speed things up. If you want to have 3 or more people, or 2 people that one person does not have the card, you'll have to use the single-card play. And I'm not going to lie to you, the single-card download takes a long time.
Right, and I think that was what our complaint was based on. The fact that everybody's going to have to sit and download this rather than kind of, being able to say, well, wait, I don't have to download it because I have the original game.
Yeah, so that is definitely, on the multiplayer side, the worst part. Now,
really
I'm going to amend that with once the game is transferred, your downtime between games is very, very small. Like, 10 seconds maybe? Something like that. So once the game is transmitted over, which I kind of appreciate, you don't have to wait between levels like on Mario Kart. There's like a 30-second drop between races or 20-second drop while you're waiting for the next track to transmit or whatever it's doing. In Star Fox, once the game is down, you're pretty much engaged as long as you want to be. Game after game after game after game after game. Different levels. You don't have to wait for them to download. They're there. And that's great because you don't have to take a break from the action. So long download time, initially short to no wait between games. So you have to look at it from that point of view. Okay, so once you're engaged in the game, you have a basic handicap for multiplayer. You can say, I want my shields to last longer, normal, or shorter. So the seasoned players can have shorter lasting shields, and the newbies can have the longer shields to kind of level the game out. And of course, you can choose on a per player basis whether you want to invert your axes or not. In other words, up is down, down is up, as Chris mentioned earlier. Now, this is funny. 9 times out of 10, I'm with Chris on this one. I like any game that I fly, up has to be down and down has to be up. It's just the way it is. All the way back to Star Wars, the arcade game.
Yep,
up
exactly.
And down, up and down.
That must have been the game that probably started me out on that whole kick.
But I'm going to tell you, Star Fox, I cannot play inverted.
Wow.
I have to play it the other way. I have to play it up is up, down is down. I don't know why. I can't explain why. I mean, the first thing I did is like, oh, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's
up
some kind
is
of
up. This ain't right. I can't play it like this.
Some kind of synapse in your brain that's telling you, this isn't how it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, when I first fired up for the very first time and I saw that up was up and down was down, I said, wait a minute, I got to figure out how to change this because I'm not going to be able to play this way. Well, I found the inverted controls. Then I started playing that way, and it's like, whoa, I better go back the other way. I'm doing really, really bad. I'm getting very confused. And sure enough, I went back to the original play, up is up, down is down. And I was able to play a lot better, which is really bizarre, man, because I'm usually on the fence with you about the whole, inverted axis thing.
Yeah.
So you might want to try it both ways. Don't automatically assume. This is the moral of the story that we just talked 5 minutes about. The moral of the story is don't immediately invert the controls. Try it both ways and see which way works for you. Because
it's definitely a personal thing.
It's definitely a personal thing. So there are 3 different battlefields: space, mountains, and city, for lack of a better description. Those are the only 3 levels that you'll play in multiplayer. And you'll play all 3 of them in a, one battle. One full engagement will require you to play all 3 levels. Each one has pluses and minuses. And during the multiplayer game, it is a frag fest. You take out your opponent, steal his energy core, which is the star, and that is your kill. Whoever has the most kills wins the game, and that's pretty much it. During your engagement, you'll have the opportunity to pick up tons of weaponry.
There's a dual blast.
There's a dual blast,
laser, which is like 2 double lasers. You have a plasma one, which is
plasma is ohms.
You know what I've noticed so far? I think my favorite pilot, and it's a shame you can't really pick him.
Yeah.
Was Slippy. I love Slippy. He's just all about the power. You can obliterate somebody with Slippy. Yeah. But that plasma, which is what he uses, is insane. You can totally trash somebody with that thing.
Plasma is evil. So, and the plasma is the red pickup, right? There's like a little red and a green pickup on your map.
The one's green and one's red. And
pick up the red one. Trust me, that is what you want. You'll also have a couple of other goodies available to you, including a cloaking device, what they call, I think, a stealth module or something like that. Which looks like a little black pyramid with reddish tips. You pick that up
from the map,
and you vanish. It's like having a cloaking device. It's great. And you can waylay some decent damage. You'll also pick up a scatter gun, which increases the scattering effect of your shot. And finally, if I remember right, the last one, I should pick the book up here to make sure I'm not missing one, is the bomb. And let me tell you, folks, a lot of people don't use bombs in multiplayer, either because they don't know how to use them or they don't know how to use them effectively. The bomb is your best friend. And this is complicated to use, too, especially if you're like me and you never read the book before you play. You just want to plug the cartridge in and play, and then somehow you never get back to the book.
This is a big book, too.
This is a nice, thick book. It's nice. Nice color pictures. Anyway, the bomb, when you pick up the little red circle with a B in it, that puts a little bomb icon on your screen. And what you'll do is you touch the bomb and you drag it and drop it somewhere on the radar. And I think 10 seconds later, the bomb detonates. And pretty much anybody that's in the bomb's zone, unless they're like full health, they're dead.
It's like a bomb from Mario Kart. When you drop it out, it's this big ball of explosion.
You know what it reminds me of? And you know what? We keep getting yelled at for talking about old games on this show. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Star Trek SOS, the photon torpedo.
Oh, I never played that.
What? You never played Star Trek SOS? You are killing me. You
probably
need to play
because
it.
I was never a big Star Trek fan.
You need to play it, dude. Screw whether it's Star Trek or not.
Well, no.
Game.
For me, the Star Trek game that I'm fondly, I remember is the old Sega arcade one.
That's what I'm talking about.
It is?
Yeah, the one that's all vector graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
when you shot the photon out, it shoots the photon and it explodes in that big ring. Maybe you haven't played it as recently as I have.
No, I mean, I guess maybe it wasn't the same effect for me.
Huh. Well, I don't know. That's what it
Wait a
reminds
minute,
me of.
where'd you get the SOS from?
Strategic Operations Simulator. That's the little subtitle of Star Trek.
You know, I never knew that. Wow.
Did you never know that?
No.
Yeah, it's Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator, and the old school guys
I guess
call
that's
it
the
SOS.
thing. I guess that's the thing they're referring to when they talked about in Wrath of Khan. You know, or was it the Wrath of Khan, or was it the anyway, when they were talking about the simulator, how he cheated.
Well, that was the Kobayashi Maru simulator.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's more geek talk than most of our listeners probably want to hear. In any event, you pull the bomb off of your control panel, drop it on the screen, and 10 seconds later it detonates. The only warning that other ships get that are in that zone is they'll see a countdown number appear on their screen. Get the hell out, because that blast zone will take you out super quick. And, of course, if you're quick and what you do as the player that drops the bomb is you flit around outside the bomb's blow-up zone. And as soon as everybody gets blown up inside of it, you zip in there and snag the stars. It's an art form, trust me.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, you just thrust and hold down. And, before you forget, there's one other thing. You got the little yellow loops that you can fly through.
Yes.
And once you fly through them, you'll get your fuel replenished, your health replenished.
Yes.
So
yeah, and that's the other thing, too. You'll need to perfect the barrel roll, folks. Because that's pretty much what saves your bacon when somebody's blasting you with plasma from behind.
Yeah, the barrel roll will also suck in the stars. So if you just barrel roll right in there and start sucking up stars, it's going to pull them in with its little gravity field effect.
Yeah, trust me, this is probably one of the best multiplayer throwdowns on the DS. I'd have to say that, along with Mario Kart and this are probably on the top of the throwdown list for me.
There's a lot of depth here, There's
a lot of depth.
There's no way you can just kind of go in and unlike Mario Kart these days where people can just snake and win a race.
Yeah.
So far, this game seems to be, pretty
unscathed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody has a chance to get in there, and as long as you have the controls down, it takes a little time to get a handle on them. You start out at different points of the screen, and you have to rush in and grab those power-ups before the other guy does, but it's pretty level playing field, pretty level.
And of course, the last piece that before we can run off on this review is the fact that you can play it on the Nintendo Wi-Fi service. And I'd like to be able to tell you that they fixed the not enough players problem where you can hook up with one buddy and then cut off and start the game. They haven't figured it out yet. So when you want to play multiplayer, you still have to wait for 4 players, or you have to wait for it to time out. And I still haven't figured out what Nintendo's thought process is on that.
It's very the whole online aspect of it is very similar to Mario Kart.
Yeah, you'll feel pretty much right at home. You've got your standard play anybody worldwide. Right, and then you've got what do they call it? The Battle Royale mode.
Yeah, you got where you can play against your friends, and you can choose up to what? 1 friend, 2 friends, 3 friends, or 4 friends at one time. So you can have a mano-a-mano fight, or you can just have a free-for-all where it's just automatically going to throw in 4 random people from the web.
Yeah, let me see here. I'm pulling out the book here while we're chatting.
It's actually
just to make sure.
It's got some really cool modes. I mean, it's giving you a breadth of modes to choose from.
Yeah, here we go. The Battle Royale will soar into combat against 3 other fighters. Results will affect each player's ranking. There is online ranking, which is worth looking at. And then you have the free battle mode, which is what Chris was just talking about, to play against 1 to 3 people registered from your friend roster. If you choose random battle, you can select the number of players per game. You can also select the number of players per game, either 2, 3, or 4, as Chris mentioned. So if you only have 1 friend to play with, this is an improvement over Mario. If you only have 1 friend to play with, and you know that you only have 1 friend online, you can have a 2-player mode, and you don't have to wait for 2 other people to show up.
Right, none of this searching, So.
But the Battle Royale mode...
Cut to the chase a little bit.
Yeah, the Battle Royale mode works like the old way, which is you get in there, it searches, it either finds 4 people and you start, or you have to wait, 2 minutes until it times out, and then you play however many players there are. The Wi-Fi component so far seems to be unscathed with cheaters. unscathed with modifications to the game.
Unfortunately, though, as much as you don't have cheating, I think I've maybe gone through, I don't know how many, maybe 2 matches at the most where somebody hasn't dropped out. Unless I'm playing against friends, count on somebody to drop out.
And dropouts are tagged and registered in this game, so for all the good it does.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so that's the same problem. Once again, while it's fun to play online, I am still more of a friend LAN type player.
Definitely, because
that
then
way
your friends aren't going to cheat. Your friends aren't going to drop. As long as you have good friends.
Yeah, as long as you got good friends. And if they're not, then they're not good friends, right? The more you know. Ba-da-ding. Okay. Anything else you got on Star Fox? I mean, I think we pretty much covered it.
I think it's been pretty covered other than the storyline,
here.
which I have to mention. Even though I've read some of it, I still don't even remember what's going on because it's really a moot point. I mean, who really reads this for the storyline?
The good thing about the whole storyline thing is there's a skip button.
Oh, yes.
Bless you, Nintendo. Every game that requires you to read more than 2 lines of text should have a skip all
I'm Shane
button.
R. Monroe, and I do not want to read in my games.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, oh my. So anyway, so that's a good thing. If you don't want to read the story, like me, then you can skip right through it all and get right to the action, which is the way it should be.
So, Shane, sir, what are we going to give this game for a rating?
Oh, this is like so stylish up, it's not even funny.
It's so stylish up, it's up there, huh?
Yeah, this is definitely, I would say Star Fox is probably on my top 5, maybe, top 7 games of all time on the DS, man. I mean, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a really polished game. The graphics are just fantastic in my opinion. I mean, especially the snowy mountain level. I think
it's
that looks
beautiful. I mean,
it just looks really nice.
It's very simplex, but this is a prime example, folks, okay? Especially you developers out there. This is a prime example of getting less is more out of the DS. This game is fun. It's engaging. Oh, the Rumble Pack. I did want to comment on the Rumble Pack before we stopped. The Rumble Pack is very good. If you've still got the Rumble Pack and it's not in your DS and it's just laying around, do yourself a favor and put it in here. It's one of the better uses of the Rumble Pack. Obviously Metroid Prime Pinball is probably the best use of the Rumble Pack. This is actually worthwhile. This isn't Mario and Luigi Partner in Time or Super Princess Peach where the Rumble Pack was like a bullet point on the box and it sucks. This actually makes really good use of it. I mean, it actually, when you thrust, your ship shakes. It's great. It's worth trying out.
Nice. Yeah, I have not checked it out yet.
Dude, you need to do it.
I need to do it. I know.
It's
just so easy. I don't have the Rumble Pack with me all the time, so it's just easy to open it up and play. But anyway, getting back to what I think, the graphics are great. I think the one thing, 2 things that kind of probably put a little bit of a damper in it is the single-player game doesn't seem to be the most lengthiest thing in the world. But thank you. You have the Wi-Fi and the wonderful local LAN play that really covers for the fact that the single-card play will probably be over, sooner than later. One other little thing that really drove me crazy, and it's kind of minimal, but there's points where it really does drive me crazy, where when you're flying around with the touch screen, you have your stylus on the touch screen at all times. So obviously that's going to block your radar, which in a lot of times you'll be wanting to look to see where the enemy is or where your power-up is. And it's bad enough you got to jump back and forth with your eyes to kind of put everything together because your ship's flying around and you're getting nailed by enemies. But when you can't see the radar, that just, that kind of gets to be a drag sometimes. But
that's weird. I've heard other people say the same thing, and I don't know, maybe my technique is different or something, but that's never.
I'm always on the lookout for power-ups.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe it's just the way I'm holding the stylus, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I have fat fingers, which I don't think I do.
No, if anybody's got the fat fingers around here, pal, it's me. No, I guess what I do is I don't keep the stylus on the screen all the time. I drive myself into the trajectory that I want, and then I lift up my stylus and I evaluate where I'm at, and then I correct. I don't think I keep the stylus on the screen all the time, which is probably why. Now, in multiplayer mode, when you're getting into the festive dogfights, then yeah, you don't have as much option to lift up the stylus and take a peek. But in the single player stuff especially, I find myself often, pointing myself in the right direction and lifting the stylus up and taking a look?
This is mainly in multiplayer. I've noticed I've had this problem because in single play, it's just a matter of, okay, where are the bad guys? Okay, let me go ahead there, and then that's it. You like you said, you correct you make your flight pattern, your flight path or whatever, and you're flying in that direction. But in multiplayer, when things are so frantic and things are everywhere, and then when a random power up pops up somewhere on the map.
Yeah, you're right.
You want to see it. You want to know where it is before everybody else. And
the good news, by the way, on that whole thing is also, I want to, just as we keep talking, I keep thinking of more things. When a power-up does appear, Rob the robot pops up and tells you that he sent something on the screen. So it's not like the power-ups silently appear.
Like I've sent you a bomb.
I've sent you a bomb. I've sent you a plasma.
I set you up the bomb.
I set you up the bomb. Yeah, Rob English.
So
and the last thing I did want to mention, too, to be all fair, in multiplayer heated combat, you're going to find yourself trying to turn a lot to get out of your enemy's fire, and you'll find that if you scratch fast enough, you'll engage in a roll. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you didn't want to roll, you'll find yourself sometimes rolling when you don't want to because you're frantically scratching left and right trying to get out of the guy's fire.
Right.
You'll inadvertently barrel roll when you aren't planning to. And again, normally it ends up helping you out because, the barrel roll will repel the enemy. But it is one of those things where it's like a gesture on the screen, going left, right, left, right, left, right, and boom, you barrel roll. But when you're engaged in flight combat and you're scratching back and forth trying to get out of the guy's crosshair,
in the heat of battle,
you'll end up getting, you'll probably end up doing that at some point in time.
So anyway, yes, I will give it a stylus up. Fully recommend it. Highly recommend it.
And it's $29.95, folks. You don't even have the $5 first party or
GameStop edition of $5.
Of $5. So, and the thing that really pisses me off the most about this game, I was trolling around a forum.
Trolling.
And I saw this guy saying, who's going to hack D-pad controls into this game?
Yes, there is no D-pad controls. We probably should have mentioned that.
You know what? I'm so sick of this crap. You don't need the D-pad. In fact, you'd get your ass kicked if you somehow managed to hack D-pad controls into this game.
Well, I think ultimately Nintendo just tried to bring the whole flight yoke control scheme to the DS, and I think they pulled it off pretty well.
The precision. D-pad has zero precision, folks. D-pad, it's like driving with a D-pad. You don't play Burnout with a D-pad. You use at least an analog control. And that's what they're trying to get through here. You'll be amazed at how precise you can lock up the enemy when you use the touchscreen. This game would be a gaming abortion if it was D-pad controllable. It's just that simple. And if you read the interview, was it in this month's Nintendo Power? There's an interview with the creators. Maybe it was on IGN. I'll have to see if I can find that. There's an interview, and they say, why did you take the D-pad out? And they said, we had it in. We originally had D-pad control like the old days. But it's like, it just didn't work right for this game. It works fine for rails. It does not work fine for free flight.
Yeah, the game, just the smoothness and the grace of the ship and everything.
I know, trust us on this
sounds. It really does work very well.
Don't not get this game because there's no D-pad. Just trust me on this one.
So the finalizer review, 2 stylus up from each of us.
Yeah.
1 from
stylus up from each of us. Good stuff.
Great game. I'm not going to say no, this isn't for everybody because it's anybody I think could enjoy this game.
Anybody who's into action gaming is going to like this game.
Yeah, and the online is fantastic. Just as long as you give yourself some time to orient yourself with the whole touchscreen control.
Yeah, don't dive in blind on this one before you hop online. You'll just get smoked. Spend a little bit of time in the.
Yeah, you got to do some practice. Do the training. The game has a training mode. You can get yourself a little more oriented with everything. You can play the ropes.
Yeah, exactly.
So
anyway, moving right along. Moving along to our Twitch review. I know, it's funny. The Twitch review I originally put out there for us to look at old games. They'll probably never get a proper review of their own. But this is the second show in a row that I've decided to look at hardware. Because hardware is something that we really don't tend to look at other than, we've talked about, supercards and things like that. But accessories.
Yeah, I mean, because really, what kind of accessories do we have? We can't discuss a new battery pack or,
what are you going to do, talk about a pouch? I mean, we talked about a pouch a little bit. You talked about that cool one you imported, but, I mean, there's not much to talk about. So when a little piece of hardware does come out, especially one that may or may not be useful, and people are on the fence going, gee, I wonder if this may or may not be useful, we'd like to take a quick cover on it.
So why don't you tell us, Mr. Monroe, what you think of this piece of hardware?
Well, Mr. Henschel, I'm glad you asked that. What we're talking about in this this Twitch review is the Daytel, a.k.a. Code Junkies, DS headset. Now, you'll find this headset anywhere, GameStop, Best Buy, runs you $14.99. And the price itself is not overly prohibitive, which is what actually interested me to begin with. And with the many games coming, such as Tony Hawk Downhill Jam, that has full in-game chat while you're playing online, as well as some other games like Metroid Prime Hunters, which allows you to chat before and afterwards, I thought, it might be kind of nice to have a microphone. Maybe the microphone, an actual headset boom microphone, would actually make voice recognition better. And the box actually kind of promises this. So I said, okay, for $14.95, I'll take one for the team, and I'll review it so that everyone can know whether to stay clear. The first thing you're going to notice is this is a clip-over-the-ear type headset. It's much akin to the new little Borg electronics that people run around with, the in-the-ear Bluetooth thing. It's not Bluetooth. Okay, let me just straighten that out. But it sits on your ear, and it features a headphone as well as a short boom microphone. It has your standard type of controls on it, as well as it plugs into. Have you ever wondered what that little tiny port is next to the headphone jack on both the DS Classic and the DS Lite?
I just assumed it was because of the Game Boy SP always had that weird kind of connection for the headset.
Yep, that is.
Isn't that so that it's compatible with them, right?
That's a microphone.
Yeah.
That's a microphone jack next to the headphone jack. So when you unroll your new headset, at the tip plug is a headphone jack and a little tiny square jack that plugs in right next to it. It's a single plug. So you plug this guy into your DS, and of course, obviously it operates as a headset, earpiece you can hear. And so what would you think, Chris, if you had to demo this thing? What would be the first thing you would try out with this headset when it's promising better voice recognition with the boom microphone?
I'm going to tell you right now, if it's the game you're thinking of that I'm thinking of, then I guess we're pretty on the level here. Elf Bowling 1 and 2.
You had to invoke it, didn't you?
No, in all seriousness, Metroid Prime Hunters is probably the only game that I can think of that has any kind of relative support for voice over IP.
Now, let me tell you what I wanted to test out, since obviously you're not on sync with me at all today. This is like the second time now.
The 10 Dogs?
No.
Brain Age.
Yeah. Blue. That's all I got to tell you. Blue.
Does it work?
Dude, I have not one time had it incorrectly hear me with the word blue.
Well, there you go. All you people that cannot quite get a 20-year-old age on Brain Age due to the fact that it doesn't
recognize blue.
The word blue from your mouth, get one of these Daytel headsets, and you're in.
This is it. I mean, I could not believe it. I thought if there was anything that was going to show how good voice recognition was, it would have to be that.
Well, it's either that or you have to learn to say your colors like a Japanese person would.
Exactly. You have to say brew, which works. I'm sorry. That's not being racist, folks.
It isn't.
I'm just telling you the way that it works. Now, what I really wanted to do before this review, which I did not do, was go back and break out my Nintendog and take it to the obedience competition. Because I'm telling you, folks, my dog ignores me half the time.
Well, was your dog still there when you booted up?
Dude, but I didn't. See, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm afraid the dog's going to be gone. Much like my Animal Crossing town, which is basically one giant weed when I went back to it after months.
Rainforest from hell.
Yeah, in fact, the entire Animal Crossing town looks like someplace Angelina Jolie's going to move in and start adopting kids out of. Her and Brad Pitt both, I think, are going to end up showing up in there. So, so anyway, in any event, folks, this is one of those things either you think you need it or you don't, and hopefully my little Twitch review gives you an idea whether or not it's something that you need or not.
Yeah, so basically, if you're having trouble communicate with your Nintendog, or you're having trouble saying the word blue, or you want to place a whole lot of Metroid Prime Hunters, then this is for you, I guess, if you want it. But otherwise,
it may turn out that way.
I think I'll pass.
Yeah, you probably don't need one. If you don't think you
I
need
think
one,
I will pass.
Yes. Okay, well, moving right along, I guess we need to cue the music. Cue the music for Storytime Theater. Yes, play the music. The music is there. Don't you love post-production, folks? The music is there. It's playing. We got a couple little bits for you this time on Storytime Theater. This is funny, actually. And again, I'm probably sure somebody's going to think I'm racist or something, but I'm in GameStop, right? I've got my import copy of Star Fox in my DS. And this was the day that Star Fox was actually coming out. So I went down to GameStop to pick up my pre-order copy. And I had to wait in line behind some people. And this guy was in front of me buying some GameCube game. I can't remember what the title was. Anyway, he's buying the GameCube game, and then he's like, "Oh, well, did you get Star Fox in yet?" And I said, "Oh, that's what I'm waiting for too. So if you got go ahead and pull mine out too." And they're like, "No, we haven't got our stock in yet." And it's like, dude, it's like 2:00. You know, it's supposed to be in today. And so we were both kind of really disappointed. And I said, "Man, maybe I'll go over to Target and see if they've got it in yet." And so I looked at the guy and said, "So a big DS fan?" And the guy reaches into his pocket and pulls out a light. I'm going, "Sweet, my brother!" And I reach into my pocket and pull my light out. And it's really funny. I said, "Dude, you know what? I've got the import of Star Fox on here. Do you want to throw down a quick game?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, that'd be great." So we're sitting at GameStop throwing down a multiplayer game of Star Fox right there in the store. It's great.
They don't care that you're standing there playing your DSs?
No, they don't care at all, man.
Nice.
They're just sitting there. So we're throwing down, and of course, you know, he'd never played, and I've been playing for a while, so I pretty much, you know, cleaned his clock. But he had a good time, and it turned out that the guy was like Hispanic, you know, he's a Mexican guy, and so I put in my little notes here for my Storytime Theater: Mexicans love DS. I just thought that was really funny, and so you know, it was interesting that how a DS can take total strangers and just connect them in that way. And, you know, we were leaving, you know, it's like, "Hey, man, thanks for the game. Yeah, hey, we'll see you later." You know, it's like we knew each other. I still don't know the guy's name. I just remember that, like, on his pre-order, it was like Hernandez or something. That's the only way I knew he was Mexican. But it's like, you know, it's funny that you could just be sitting there with nobody you know, whip out a DS, and suddenly there's some sort of a camaraderie there.
Yeah, all of a sudden you know his language and he knows yours.
I speak his language. It's called
Star Fox.
Yeah, it's called Capture Your Core. That's the language.
Nice.
So anyway, you have a couple little stories.
Yeah,
for
well,
story
the
time,
thing
don't you?
is, I mean, you're always getting the GameStop stuff. You're always getting the good experiences at GameStop. And
Right.
I'm always getting the weird, really bad stuff, you know. And you know, I know there's recently, you know, there's so many games coming out for the DS. So I mean, I don't have unlimited funds to buy these games. And of course, I just like to have these games in my collection. I mean, I honestly want the games, and it'd be nice to own them. So I'm saying to myself, all right, how am I going to do this? Well, somewhere it leaked out, and I think it was on Cheap Ass Gamer, that GameStop is giving you $20 for your trade-in of Halo 2 for the Xbox, the original Xbox. Now, Halo 2 came in two different editions, the regular normal edition and the limited collector's edition, of which they made about 1.5 million of, you know, so you know it's limited. So anyway,
yeah, right.
what's quite fascinating to me is word had it that they were actually giving less for the collector's edition of the game. They were giving $12, and then they were giving $20 for the regular edition. Why, I don't understand, because outside of the case, it's the same exact thing. The discs are identical down to a T, except for the fact that the limited edition one comes with a bonus DVD with behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I said to myself, hey, $20 for Halo 2. I've had the game for a couple years now, believe it or not. I said, I don't play on live anymore. It doesn't do me any good. I've already played it. I was really let down in it. I said, you know, I'm going to trade this in because I'd rather be playing DS games. I figure at some point, if I wanted, I could go back and get it used for probably $5, you know, eventually when the thing's completely dead, the system. So anyway, I took the game. I only took the game. I wasn't taking the case. I figure, well, it's a limited edition. If they're not giving that much, I'm just going to take my game in. And, of course, guys bitch and complain, oh, I can't believe you're only giving the game, you know, because, you know, when they go in to buy a used game, they want the case with it, you know. Well, sorry, dude, not my problem. I don't buy used games.
That's right.
So I go in, and, you know, I said to the guy, I put it in a little folder and everything. It's brand new shape, never scratched, and I wanted to make it look good. And this is actually pretty decent GameStop. There's numerous GameStops around. This guy's always there. He seems like a pretty cool, laid-back dude. I go in, I say, hey, man, I'd like to trade in my Halo 2. And he said, meanwhile, the wife's in the car waiting. I said, look, I'll be 2 seconds. I'll handle this. And I said to the guy, I yeah, I want to trade this in. He's like, okay, no problem. He's typing on his computer, getting himself logged into his cash register. And I said, yeah, it looks like it's worth $20 trade in. And he kind of looks up at me, smiles, and says, I highly doubt that, in a very, cocky kind of off-center remark way.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, I highly doubt that.
I doubt that.
Well, according to your website, it says trade-in value $20. He's like, well, sorry, I find that hard to believe, considering we sell the game used for $19.99. I said, well, whatever, dude. If it's $20, I'd take it. So a few seconds later, and his eyes just bulge. He's like, oh my God, it's unbelievable. You're right. It's $20. I said, here's the game, dude. Fork it over, and out I went. So I just thought that was pretty amusing, because you don't need to be like that. I was only trying to. I only said for my confirmation. I said $20 because, I wanted the guy to know that I knew ahead of time how much it's worth.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be side saddled.
That guy could screw you.
Yeah, get out of here, man. Because I figured if the thing's $20 used, I pretty much just did a pretty good deal against them. So anyway, I'll be putting that towards one of the new games this week. Like maybe Cooking Mama, which is $20. So that's an instant buy right there.
That sounds like a winner right there.
So anyway, the other funny story, I don't think I've ever told on DSR. This is something that happened last December with Animal Crossing. And I just found this totally interesting because I remember you were mentioning something like this before, and that, I think it all came about because I was listening to your Best Of show again, and you were talking about you and Brian's, GameStop story about how they weren't accepting your money.
Yeah.
That fantastic classic story at Funcoland, which this place used to be, is now GameStop. So that kind of made me remember this whole little instance I had back in December when I had to go in and purchase Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing had just come out that day. I called 3 times in the morning to 3 different GameStops. I spread it around a little bit. I didn't want to seem like a nutcase,
Yeah.
And they kept saying, no, we didn't get in, So finally they said, one girl said, yeah, we'll get it in, but you might want to check around 1:30. I'm thinking, okay, because that's when the shipment comes in. So 1:30 hits, I call up, did you get Animal Crossing? Oh, yeah, we got Animal Crossing. Okay, great. Of course, she's like, did you pre-order? I said, nope. I said, all right, well, okay. That's all I wanted to know. So I go over there, go into Animal Crossing, get in there. I said to her, I got money in hand, I had cash in hand. I needed to buy 3 copies of this game. One for me, one for the wife, and one for my sister for Christmas. So we're looking at, $35 each. That's quite a bit of money. That's over $100. So I went in there with my wad of 20s, and I get in there, and I said to the girl, yes, do you have Animal Crossing? She's like, oh, yeah. I said, okay, I need 3 of them. Can I get 3 of them? Oh, well, no, I can't sell you 3 of them. And I'm saying, well, why not? Yeah, I'm only allowed to sell 1 at a time. And this is the manager telling me this. So I had nobody to complain to, other than, I guess, somebody higher above her. And I was puzzled because I said, you're not going to sell me 3 Animal Crossing? She's like, no, we're limited to 1. And I'm thinking, well, why? What's the point? I mean, isn't the whole point of these games is to sell them? You're a store. Don't you want cash for these? I mean, here I am with money trying to buy 3 Animal Crossings. I'm thinking, what's the difference? I mean, you got plenty of them. And so I said to her, so what's the reason why I can't buy 3 of them? And I told her why I wanted 3 of them. I said, there are 3 different gifts. And she says, well, no, because, we can never be too sure about where they're going to end up. I mean, we've had problems where people are buying them and putting them on eBay.
Well, who the hell cares?
Once again, I'm saying to myself, what's the difference? You got paid. They're leaving your store. Your job is done. They've been purchased from you, and you're going to meet your quota. What does it matter what the other person does with it?
Dude, that's funny.
I'm like, okay. I mean, so you're turning my back. You will not allow me to purchase 3 of these games. I mean, what's the difference if I had my wife come in after me and buy another one? You know what I mean? This is stupid.
Right.
This is borderline idiocy.
That limit 1 per customer thing always cracks me up. I mean, I could see you buying like 20.
All right, yeah, because I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah, were they all around buying Animal Crossings?
This is early December, though. I mean, Christmas season. People are buying stuff like crazy. So I didn't think this was anything abnormal.
Dude.
And this is a game where it's based on a community kind of thing, so the more, you want to play everything, maybe I have 3 children at home or something, everybody wants one. No, you're not getting it. So anyway, I started leaving, and before I didn't have the money out. So I turned and I pulled it out of my pocket and I started running it through my fingers as I'm walking away. And she saw it. And she says, all right, look, I'm not supposed to do this, but okay, I'll sell you 3 copies.
Dude, I don't get it. Would she think that you just didn't have the money and you were jerking her chain, or what?
I have no idea, and I don't understand the idea. The eBay thing just doesn't fly with me.
We need to start recording every time we go into GameStop. We need to take a voice recorder with us.
It's a reality show.
We have to catch these in action.
I mean, what a stupid store. I mean, how could you turn away a customer? And as soon as she saw the money, she lit up.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's like, I just think that she's like, well.
I walked in there with 6 $20 bills.
Dude. I'm at a loss, man.
Yeah. So anyway, as I'm walking out, I was like, oh, excellent. Now I can go home and start my eBay.
Yeah. You're going to start Animal Crossing LLC with those 2 illegitimate copies you bought.
Stupid woman. Ha ha.
I got them. Ha ha.
I'm out of here. Ha ha ha.
Stupid.
So anyway, yeah, the other big thing that's happened to me this week, and I've already started crying about it on the forums, and it seems like as soon as I start crying, everybody else is starting to chime in now. My DS Lite White Polar Edition has a cracked hinge. It seems to be a big phenomenon that's taken the internet. I found numerous threads on this from all sorts of forums. This is not an isolated event. I honestly think it's a manufacturing defect. Every picture I've seen, the crack is in the exact same position as the one I have. It's insane. It's not even on that little seam. There's like a real faint seam on each of the hinges. It's not even on top of that, for crying out loud. Now, I don't know what's causing this, but it's driving me crazy, not just because it cracked, but in that I baby my DS Lite like it was like a newborn baby.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot. In my case, right next to my games is a microfiber cloth that I use to polish my freaking DS Lite off. I have some kind of minor OCD that I have to clean this thing off. Between the screen, the grease. I don't want any dirt on the thing because it's white. You're talking dirt magnet. So the fact that it's broken and I treat it like it's some kind of a bomb that could blow up if I move too fast with it, really just gets my gist. So I don't know what I'm going to do right now. All I know is since it's a Flash DS, I don't want to just mail it back to Nintendo. But I think I'm going to have to wait for a little bit. Hopefully it won't get bigger. I guess I'll live with it. But normally this is something that wouldn't really bother me. But I don't know if this is going to get bigger. I don't know if the top screen is going to eventually just pivot off and fly across the room. So.
Well, couldn't you? I mean, I don't have a cracked DS myself, but
now you will.
Yeah, I will now that I said that. Can't you just slide just a little bead of super glue into that crack?
I guess I could, but
that's what I'd be doing next.
You know what? If something else happens and I send this back to Nintendo for the warranty and they see the glue, I guarantee you they're going to void the warranty.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't want to take the chances.
Well, I do know, and this is a good time to talk about it. We've got a guy, and I'm not going to say his name just in case he decides to back out, but I'm working with an individual who happens to be very adept at repairing Nintendo DSs, and he's going to probably, and this is like 99% sure, but again, I don't want to speak for him in case he changes his mind, be offering dual screen radio listeners exclusive access to his repair services.
Nice.
Cracked hinges, flashing, accidental bricking, all of these things he's going to be able to cover for a very minimal fee. Wow. In other words, it would be worth your time to pay this guy to fix it rather than to have to wait for Nintendo to fix it.
Yeah, well, the other thing is this would be good if it was an out-of-warranty experience, too, because, Nintendo is covering these, without any kind of cost. So, considering it's within the first year, I think it's pretty cool that they'll just take it back and do this. Otherwise, I could totally see that, something like that would be really nice.
Yeah. So, if you're beyond help at some point, then maybe this guy can help you out. And I have a feeling with this big phenomenon of cracked hinges that, this guy may be able to take care of you.
I'm anxious to see if it's affecting any of the other colors. That's the big thing. Right now, it seems like most people are complaining about the whites, but on the other hand, what is the most common DS out there right now? The white. So obviously you're going to have more cracked whites than any other color.
That makes total sense.
But I have a feeling this is some kind of manufacturing flaw. And what's funny is it's not even a part of the hinge that it's a piece of the hinge that doesn't seem like it should crack. I would have thought the other hinge would crack. It seems to be on the one side. If you're facing the DS from the front, normally how you'd play it, it'd be on the left side.
That would make sense.
But just keep an eye out, because it's funny. The other day, I did not have it. Next thing I know, I look over and there it is. Maybe it's temperature related. I'm not sure. But it's a really kind of. It seems like a really cheesy part of the plastic too. It's like it just doesn't seem like a very sturdy piece of plastic. So anyway, that's my big upset this week.
Yeah, that
So
sucks,
I'm anal
dude.
with my electronics.
Yeah, there's no other way to paint that other than, boy, does that ever suck.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear that, man.
I'll live.
You're still able to play. That's the important thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Every time I open it, I don't know if maybe I'm going to crack it even more. I don't even know what caused it.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. If it were
I don't
me,
slam it shut.
Okay, let's say it were me and I had a cracked hinge. I'd be on the phone with Nintendo, and I'd say, listen, cracked hinge. I got a cracked hinge. I don't want to send it in because it's going to take forever. Can I dab a little super glue on here? And is that cool if, it grows bigger anyway? Can I still get the warranty? If they say, yeah, get the guy's name and just
what?
glue
the other
the damn
thing is, though, gluing it doesn't seem like you can push it back together. There's not a lot of give there. I tried pushing the
Yeah, you wouldn't push it back together, but it might stop it from spreading.
Right.
That would be, it's just like
kind of put something to fill the spot.
Yeah, just something to keep it from spreading open
Yeah.
more. So, yeah.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens. But anyway, moving on, we have our coming attractions this week.
And I don't know if you've refreshed our list here, but I moved Conductor down to the 19th.
Oh, yes, because once again, Conductor is being delayed.
Imagine, I'm so shocked and surprised. By the time the game actually comes out, I'm going to be too pissed to want to play it. I know, that's so petty and cheap of me, but that's just the way it is.
Well, it looks like it's a company that most people haven't heard of. I know I haven't heard of them. So
company. I just wish they would just move it to be determined instead of moving it 3 days back and 3 days back and 5 days back.
It's been delayed since at least July.
We don't know.
Yeah. So. But anyway, coming out on the 18th, we have 3 games. Nothing interesting in my opinion.
All 3 shovelware titles. As far as I'm concerned.
Pokemon is their big bread and butter, so I don't know if it's shovelware, but in terms of the fact that it's not a main Pokemon game, like the 2 that are going to be coming out at some point either late this year or early next year, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, this seems more like shovelware to me. Right up there with Troze. But we have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Bratz Forever Diamonds, that's a winner.
Yeah,
Danny Phantom Urban Jungle, another, run-of-the-mill cartoon in your face, whatever, from I think the guy who does Powerpuff Girls, whatever. Come on. Cartoons now suck. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Me too.
And I can safely say that because I look at the Cartoon Network and none of these shows that are on now I would be watching as a kid.
Yeah, me neither.
And I have the same kind of love for cartoons as I did as a kid. So anyway, on the 18th we have those 3 wonderful, amazing titles.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And on the 19th we have quite a few games, a couple of which look pretty decent, but otherwise you're talking more shovelware.
Yeah.
Contact, which is a big one, that's coming out. Everybody can't wait for that. It's going to be Atlas's latest game. So count on that being shortage all around. So if you're going to grab it, ASAP if you have any interest in it whatsoever.
Damn Skippy.
It looks like a pretty cool little RPG hybrid. I don't really know all the details of it. I don't know what kind of experience it's going to bring. It looks like a really odd game. So for me that works out. DS and odd works for me. Open Season, which I believe is a upcoming movie from, I don't know who it is, DreamWorks maybe? It's a CGI animated movie. It looks identical to all the other stuff that was just out. The Wild, Madagascar. In other words, I'm going to fall asleep and I'm not going to watch it.
Pretty much.
It's more cough. The characters all look identical, first of all.
They do. Looks like Ice Age. Looks like
right.
But they all look the same anymore.
In your face, party animals. Yeah, okay. Never seen that before.
Never.
Yeah. Okay. Then finally, we got a couple more here. Conductra, which we've already talked about. If it comes out the 19th, yeah, I'll believe it when I say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Dragon Quest Monsters Rocket Slime. It's a series of games that's been around for a long time, ever since the original NES, Dragon Quest. This looks to be an offshoot, kind of more or less like Mystery Dungeon for Pokemon is. Where it has it could be pretty decent. I know EGM gave it their Game of the Month award. Go figure.
Really?
Yeah.
The DS version?
Yeah. Well, there's only one version.
Oh,
of it.
okay. I wasn't sure if it
DS.
was a cross-platform thing.
No,
kidding.
I mean they're using the word Dragon Quest, but this is an offshoot. They've done it a few times on the original PSX PlayStation. They had a couple games that were based off the series. I don't know what to think of it. It doesn't look like quite my type of game, so I'll probably pass. And I've never heard of this, but it looks ridiculous. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody Tipped in Trouble. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those are the replacements for the Olsen twins, I guess. Or
the male Olsen twins.
The male Olsen twins, and can't say that I'm even remotely interested in that.
Yeah, a couple little kids that look like they're big shot stars or something that they went through in video game, whatever. Yeah, all three of our audience that are 5 years old that are into that enjoy it. It's coming.
Yeah, 19th.
The 25th, we'll see the release of one of the big games everybody's been waiting for, Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis. I'm still on the fence. I didn't care for the original GBA prequel to this game, which in itself was a sequel to another game on the original Game Boy called Donkey Kong, which, if you can, I urge you to check out. It was a really cool game. I don't know if you've ever played it on the original Game Boy.
I think so.
It's really good stuff. Now, this, hopefully it'll turn out pretty decent. Hopefully it'll be a little better than the other one. I
didn't jump for joy on the GBA version.
No,
so
I wasn't a big fan. I didn't like the way you had to complete a level in a specific way.
Yeah.
You had to jump at this point to get to this, and it's just too exact. I don't like that. I like a little more freedom in my games.
Exactly.
I'm going to throw the thing against the wall. Also on the 25th, Alex Rider Stormbreaker. I don't know what that is.
That's the new.
Is this some kind of book?
No. Well, it may be based on a book, but there's a brand new movie coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's the standard teen is smarter than every adult on the planet, manages to save the Earth type thing. It's your standard Disney-style fare, but
Anakin Skywalker effect, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the only good part about this movie, which will not let me go see it, even so, is the fact that he's sort of a spy kid. Again, this is something we've never seen before.
Oh, what an original concept.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine that? A kid that's a spy that saves the world. Imagine. Anyway, the only good part about this movie looks to be that the kid has a Nintendo DS as his secret spy tool, and apparently he uses the DS, of course it's completely fanciful, but he uses it to break into computers and to do all that.
Trace memory?
Yeah, sort of. Well, no, imagine using that say in Terminator 2, like they used
the
Atari PDA to hack into the ATM. Again, brand new stuff here, new content for a new generation. Anyway, that's...
you know what else? You know what else is cool? Speaking of that, remember Enemy of the State when they used the
TurboGrafx 16? Yeah. And they threw like a regular PCM-CIA card in it and it actually turned on. I loved that.
Capturing video with it. Yeah, whatever.
Fantastic.
Good stuff.
Boy, I can't wait to see
Hollywood's on top of technology.
Good boy. Good man.
On the 26th, which is the day after the 25th, in case you didn't realize it, we have Mage Knight Destiny Soldier from Namco Bandai. I'm interested to see what that's all about. I haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah, not a good sign.
That is not a good sign, and from it looks to me, this is probably a Western-based, American-made title, which usually coming from a Japanese company isn't a good thing. It's a Japanese company releasing something from their American branch never equals anything good for the most part.
Unfortunately,
Pac-Man World 3. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, alive and well.
Also on the 26th, we have Bubble Bobble Revolution and Rainbow Islands Revolution. Rainbow Island
games.
Yeah, Rainbow Island Revolution looks a little different in that you're going to be drawing the rainbows with the stylus.
I'm not sure I'm not sure I'm down for that.
Yeah, because from what I understand, you can't move your guy while you're creating a rainbow. It does not allow you to move your character. There's always something stupid.
Count me out. What is it with these people? How many times do we have to yell and scream on this show?
And you know what? People will bitch and complain because we're bringing up retro games, but it's not our fault that people are releasing retro games for the DS.
That's right. So don't get off our backs.
Sorry you never heard of that game. Boo-hoo.
Yeah, sorry you don't know what Bubble Bobble is.
I'm sorry I've been gaming for more than 10 years, okay? I know a few more things than you.
The PlayStation 1 was not my first console. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see. Out now that you may or may not have missed, by the time you hear the show, Mario Hoops 3-on-3. The new colored DSs, the black and pink Nintendo DS Lites should be out. What do they call it? Onyx onyx, and what do they call the pink? Coral?
The pink is...
Yeah.
Ooh, I think it's cool pink, yes.
It's cool pink, yes. Of course, Cooking Mama, as we previously talked about. Harvest Moon DS, which I'm still on the fence about myself. Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, which in just a few minutes we're on our way down to pick up.
So we'll hopefully have a review for that.
Yeah, we'll have hopefully a review on that next show. Mech Assault Phantom War, which I personally am looking forward to. I've never been a big mech fan.
I got to tell you, nobody's bringing this game up, but I saw the video and from the last show when
the
you
video
mentioned
looks great.
It looks really darn good, man. I mean, I used to love it on the Xbox, and this looks like a pretty cool little port of it. I mean, obviously you're not going to get Xbox graphics here, but it looks like they did a pretty good job of capturing the overall feel of the game. I'm really over the fence on this. I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. I'm not a big mech fan, so.
I mean, it's going to be a big week, and I don't know where to begin.
I know,
Cooking Mama, I'll probably pick up because it's $20, and I love WarioWare stuff. So it sounds like WarioWare or cooking. Also in the 12th, we got Mega Man ZX, which is yet another 2D side-scroller alive and well on the Nintendo DS.
That's about the last place you're going to see him, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, even Ghouls and Ghosts on the PSP, while it's a 2D side-scroller, it's 3D all around.
All 3D-ized.
Yeah, no hand-drawn art there, buddy. So.
All right, well, let's move along. Very big week. Yeah, big week. Hopefully we'll have more information. Keep an eye on the forums, which you can visit at www.dualscreenradio.com.
Just in case everybody didn't know that.
Yeah, we have a big site review for you, so we're going to be saying dualscreenradio.com a lot. But in the meantime, let's move on to Touch and Go, our news segment where we gather up the best and most interesting pieces from around the internet and around the world right here on Dual Screen Radio.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a news segment, but it's a fun segment.
It's kind of a news segment, don't you think? We get a couple of exclusives here that people haven't heard before.
Touch and Go?
Yeah, that's our news segment.
Oh, news segment. I got
news,
you.
News.
I thought you said it was a new segment.
No, it's not really new. I love it. Yeah, you think it was like midnight here. Okay, I've got the first couple here. First up, SimCity is apparently coming to the DS. That quirky little Will Wright game that launched the whole Sim series. Now, we don't know if it's based on SimCity 2000, 4000, 6000, 26,000, 36,000, or one of the other billions of other SimCities that came out. With any luck, it will be one of the original SimCities, which I thought was a perfect balance of strategy and time killing.
Less is more.
Less is more, as we continue to say. So hopefully that'll turn out. Word is Prince of Persia Rival Blades is coming to the DS. Now, we have zero information other than the fact that it's coming to pretty much every platform on the planet. The question is can it get back to its proper 2D roots, much like the Prince of Persia Sands of Time on the GBA? Or are we going to get another 3D abortion, or worse yet, another battle card abortion like we've already got?
That's what I was going to say. At first I'm thinking, well, is this another card game? Or, you know what would be really cool? You know what they really need to do?
Yeah.
They need to take the Pirates of the Caribbean engine.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Spiff it up a little bit more, add a few more, don't take the exact same thing, just change the sprite colors and the characters and all, but actually just add some more interesting gameplay, to make it even better. It was already a good game. Let's keep the engine and improve upon it. I'd check it out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm a Prince of Persia whore, but not this new 3D crap that's been around.
Yeah,
I like the old school stuff.
Of course.
Speaking of Final Fantasy III, which we spoke about earlier, the first week saw almost 500,000 copies sold in less than a week. I think it was 490,000 copies moved.
Yeah.
The first week sold out within the first hour. Now, we know that's in Japan, and that's, the Japanese love Final Fantasy, and that was a guaranteed seller. We'll see how well it works over here in the States.
The follow-up week over there saw only 47,000 copies of it sold.
Yeah.
So go figure, man. What a drop. But people are saying the reason for the drop is that they can't meet demand.
Yeah, they don't have enough copies.
They just didn't make enough copies of it. So as soon as more of them come out, everything will be probably jumping back up. Now, the other word is coming out that the reason there's low copies of these released is, and this goes for a lot of games. A lot of games saw a hit this week in Japan. Is that the manufacturing plants that are pumping these games out are full throttle on producing the Pokemon cards for the upcoming 2 Pokemon Pearl and Diamond games that are going to be dropping like a megaton in Japan. So I think most of the resources going to card production are going to those 2 games, and I think that's probably why not as many of these are being released. But they better do something quick. But I think they're just afraid that people are going to go into a state of frenzy if they can't all get Pokemon, because it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true, but it sounded like a pretty good excuse to me.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
Also, Cartoon Network Racing, which looks like your standard kart racer featuring numerous characters from the hit shows on Cartoon Network, like Johnny Bravo. First screens got released this last week. And I'll tell you, the screens look really good, but there's no video released, and we all know what that usually means. So we got to see that one in motion, folks, and we'll keep you apprised, because there can never be enough good racing games. I personally would like to see Pac-Man Rally come to the DS.
You know what? I was shocked to see that wasn't coming to the DS.
I
looked
pissed.
Down in the advertisement, especially in the newest Nintendo Power. I looked at the bottom of the ad, and I didn't see Nintendo DS listed as one of the game systems, and I was really upset about that. I was hoping it would be pretty cool.
I love Pac-Man Rally, man.
Well, you know what? I just hope Crash Team Racing ends up on this thing. How cool would that be with Wi-Fi?
So sweet. Or Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong might work out too.
Well, Diddy Kong, there hasn't been a whole lot of information leaked since May, when we had the E3 and all the conferences. But hopefully something will happen there. This Cartoon Network Racing kind of reminds me of the Looney Tunes Racing back on the Dreamcast.
It does.
That was a cool game.
That was pretty slick.
How fun that was. Yeah,
that was a slick game.
Good.
It was totally clean.
Yeah. So other things we have going on in the news. We have Polarium Advance is coming to the U.S. In Japan and in Europe, they released a version of Polarium for the Game Boy Advance. Up to this point, no one was releasing it in America. I guess Nintendo. Yeah, I think Nintendo were the ones that were behind the publishing for the original here. It was a game created by our friends at Mitchell, who created Super Buster Brothers and, of course, Magnetica, or Puzzle Loop, as we prefer to call it.
Yeah, Magnetica.
But now it seems Atlas is going to be bringing over the Game Boy Advance version of it. Atlas is like on a super roll, man. I'll tell you. I mean, they are just pumping out hits left and right.
Yeah, they're like the video game King Midas, man.
Yeah, they're making up for the companies like Summit Soft, Mastiff, and DSi, and whatever horror product.
Exactly. Good boys over at Atlas.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of Polarium, but I thought I'd throw that in there since it is DS related.
Yes.
Other news: Nanostray 2 is in the works right now. All we have is the website nanostray2.com. So check it out and enjoy the logo for what it is.
Because that's all you get.
Yeah, recent information before we went to the recording today states that they are trying to. It doesn't sound like there's going to be any touchscreen innovation involved in this game. They claim that before they were being held back by, there was a demand that they have to have some touchscreen element added to their game, and we all know how that worked out. I frankly think the game sucks. I can't stand the game. I think it's terrible. It's more of a tech demo than anything. And if they can give me some kind of full vertical screen similar to Metroid Pinball type shooter, I'll be all over this. I think it could really work out, and I'd buy it up in a second. Because I love vertical shooters, and you can't put a vertical shooter on a horizontal screen. And it's just, in my opinion, it does not work. And then you had those horrible touch controls that allowed you to select a weapon. Come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. A shooter is a Twitch game. You cannot take your hand off the controls. Other news, we got Japan going crazy over the Black DS Lite release. Whether that is going to show up over here, we don't know. I think the reason everybody's going crazy over the Black DS over there is just the fact that the DSs in general are just hard to get a hold of, and that they'll take any color they can get. They could release this thing in fuchsia, and they'd still probably buy it.
Yeah. In
Dayglow.
Stickly. Yeah.
But I think that's the reason everybody's going crazy, not the color, but the fact that there's a DS in stock.
You can actually buy one.
Whatever they can get. Panzer Tactics. I was checking this out. It looks kind of cool. There's some new screens up. It looks to be like a World War II kind of a military strategy. It looks like the settings take place in the African desert back in World War II. And for those too young to understand, think about like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember where they all were digging for the Ark, the Lost Ark? That's basically the type of surroundings that this game looks like it's going to be taking place in, back when the Nazis were playing around down in Africa. And also we have from our buddies at Atlas. I don't know if this game's related. I don't believe it is related to Deep Labyrinth. It just has the name Labyrinth in it, which is kind of a coincidence. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of this game. It's spelled Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil Labyrinth. I attempted it.
Yggdrasil Labyrinth, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Dreidel Labyrinth, whatever. It looks Atlas is going to be bringing it to the U.S., so there's another RPG in the can for the DS. The game looks pretty cool. It reminds me of more of a Legacy of the Ancients kind of thing, where you have a character that slowly scrolls onto your screen, from the distance. It looks like another dungeon crawler. It's coming from Atlas once again. It's going to be titled Etrian Odyssey. I don't know where they get these names from, dude.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But Dreidel, I don't know. Dreidel Labyrinth was its original name, and I have to say the American name's actually better, because at least I can kind of pronounce it. Check it out. We got the little link to there. It's off another site. And then I think you've got some more things you want to talk about here.
Yeah, just while you were chatting, I looked up that weird word, and it's part of Norse mythology.
Is that right?
The world tree, a gigantic ash tree, thought to connect all 9 worlds of the Norse cosmology. The tree trunk goes world axis piercing through the center, blah, blah, blah. You can read more about it on Wikipedia.
I don't know, man. That sounds too deep for me.
That's way too deep for me. I just want to play, man. I just want to play, dude. That's all.
I think a lot of these Japanese producers put way too much thought into some of this stuff. I mean, really. And then the game ends up being another hack and slash,
Yeah, it does look really good, though. I had made my own entry later on,
cool.
And it actually has, like, real dual screen elements. Yeah. In other words, it's not just like, the bottom screen's your map and everything else is on the top. It definitely looks like it's going to be something to keep an eye on.
Looks a lot more polished.
Looks
than
very
something
polished,
like Deep Labyrinth.
Very polished.
But once again, Atlas is just coming out.
Yeah, Atlas is everything they're touching turned to gold. Europe, unfortunately not the United States, but Europe is going to get a DS MP3 player, which we'll give you a link there to take a peek at. Word is that it's basically the Play-Yen, the Japanese movie and video multimedia player.
Yeah.
But word has not come out whether or not it will retain its MPEG-4 video playback or if it will be crippled down to be merely an MP3 player. It uses standard SSD flash memory, which is fantastic. Might be worth looking at if you're over there in Europe or possibly importing, because the Play-Yen was very expensive to import. Lots of new Clubhouse games. Pictures, probably my most anticipated game this year. It sounds crazy, but Clubhouse games is going to be
one of my tops. Yep.
It's going to be it. This is going to be the holiday season game, trust me. And there's tons of new pictures showing dominoes, a brand new looking dartboard. The graphics have been mucho beefoed up over the Japanese version.
Something I've really I'm a little disappointed in, and it sounds like, and I never really thought this was going to make it over here anyway, but it sounds like Go from the Japanese version. I don't even know if it was Go. Is not going to be in the US
I don't think it's going to make it, which is
and
too
it really
bad.
Sucks because I was hoping it would have like a tutorial and I could learn how to play it or something. It just looked really interesting after hearing all these stories about it over the years, and always kind of interesting just to see what it's about. Because it looks kind of cool.
It's fun. It's a fun game. Unfortunately, you're going to have to import this guy to get that version of it.
Yeah. But join us on our Flash chat sometime at the end of the year when I'm sure we'll be having 8-player poker nights.
October 9th is when this guy comes out. October 10th, I will be online playing spades. I guarantee it.
We'll be having poker night.
Because I'm a spades slut. Next up, Rayman Raving Rabbids, which is, of course, the giant title that Ubisoft is working on for the Wii.
Michael Ansel.
What's that?
Michael Ansel, man. He's the guy behind the whole Rayman thing.
Got it. That has been announced for a late 2006 release on the Nintendo DS as well. So we're going to get some port of Rayman Raving Rabbids. Not rabbits with a T, Rabbids with a D.
Like a dog with rabies.
Yeah, like rabid, like a rabid dog. with 2 B's. Biker Mice from Mars. I'm not even sure I can even talk about this and keep my face straight.
All I know about Biker Mice from Mars is I think it was some kind of a cartoon series back in the mid 90s or so. They were trying to capitalize on top of the Ninja Turtles, but
gotcha. That makes sense.
This is just beyond me because I come from an older time, when
I don't know, when cartoons didn't suck.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's been announced for fall of 2006. We'll give you a link you can check it out. Apparently, it's an old property that they're trying to rehash into.
And it's got in-game advertising too. Looks beautiful.
Boy, let me just race out and get that. Asterisks and Obliques XXL2 was also announced November 2006. We'll give you a link on that. I don't know much about it. There's a couple of screens, but anytime. Apparently, that's an old PlayStation 1 game.
Well, actually, I think it's basically it's a lot of things. It's been around for a while. I think it's mostly in. I think it's in Western Europe. I think it's from there. It's it was originally some kind of a comic series or something, maybe in newspapers. I'm not really sure, but the games themselves, I think, are based on much I'm not trying to compare things here. I'm just trying to give an example of how it works. I think it's sort of like how, getting back to Ninja Turtles or something like that. They based a game on Ninja Turtles. Like Konami has the games out. It's kind of the same idea. It's another It's an intellectual property that they're making games based off. If you actually look at MAME, they have games for this.
Oh, really?
There's arcade games in MAME based on these two characters.
Interesting. Well,
they look like they're based around Norse mythology or something.
Interesting. We're getting a lot of Norse stuff this time around.
So I want to say it's probably a Norway thing because there's a lot of foreign language involved too. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There you have it. Something we wanted to make a correction on through our various sources. We may have reported incorrectly that the Opera DS browser import from Japan uses some sort of a Japanese proxy server. That's why when you go to Google, it automatically puts it in Japanese or whatever. I wanted to let you know that while the Opera Mini browser does, the ones that come on cell phones use proxies, the Opera DS does not use a proxy, and the only reason why certain sites might identify you as Japanese is the fact that the user agent string shows Japanese as the language of your browser. So if you're afraid to import the DS browser because you're worried about some sort of proxy being in the way and slowing you down or whatever, not the case. So rumor debunked. Debunked. Recently, I had an opportunity, and this slipped off my radar the last couple of shows. I had the opportunity to go home back to Wenatchee, Washington. For those of you who don't know what Wenatchee is, imagine the armpit of the Pacific Northwest, and that's pretty much what Wenatchee is. However, one of our regular listeners on not only Retro Gaming Radio but Dual Screen Radio, as well as being a forum member for quite some time, Mordrock, which if you're a Dragon's Lair fan, you probably understand the name as being the evil wizard from Dragon's Lair 2. He and I were talking, and he's one of the guys that actually lived up in that area, and he knows what I mean when I say the Liberty Cinema in Wenatchee, Washington, having Starship One. So it's one of those guys that, you can relate to, and he's like, yeah, I've been to that theater. My uncle lived there. I used to spend summers there. Anyway, as it turned out, Mike and I, Mordrock, managed to be in the same area of Washington at the same time. It was a fluke. I was only there for 3 days, and he was on vacation with his family nearby, and he's like, we need to hook up. So we met at a place called Hastings, which is like a Virgin Megastore, only doesn't suck. In other words, they carry books, magazines, video games, everything. Anything media or entertainment related, they probably carry it there. It's one of the best stores ever. It's the only good thing about Wenatchee, to be honest with you. And have you ever heard of a Hastings, Chris?
I've heard the name. I've never been there, but I do know it's some kind of I always thought it was some kind of department store.
Oh no, it's amazing. No. They carry weird magazines, imports. Yeah, they got all that good stuff. Anyway,
that sounds cool, man.
Oh, it's great. Mike and I met at Hastings for a couple of hours. We managed to spend a couple hours in the afternoon together. He and his lovely wife. I can't remember what her name was. Elizabeth, perhaps. I can't remember. I feel bad now. I should have wrote that down. But anyway, Mike showed up, and he brought not only his Nintendo DS, which we threw down a little bit. He also brought his GP2X that he had modified with the little joystick, which I thought was really cool. For those of you who listen to Retro Gaming Radio, you know what I'm talking about. And he also brought his PSP and gave me a chance to play Archer McLean's Mercury, which actually looked like a pretty decent game, although it would have been, I know this sounds funny, but it would have been a lot more fun with a touchscreen, to actually like tilt the Mercury around, be a lot more
sounds
precise.
Like how Loco Roco probably would be a little better on the DS.
Yeah, being able to tilt more accurately. Anyway, we had a really good time. I got a picture, which I'm going to post in our image gallery. Look under Shane's pics, and I'll post a picture of Mike and I together. It's kind of a cool thing when one of our listeners can hook up with us, and we get to meet briefly and share a little time, and we got a picture together, and we also got a sound bite, which this is great. I got to have one of these, just totally unrelated. Mike does professional sound engineering, and he had like a voice recorder that ran off SD memory that could record at like super high bit rates. It's way cool. I mean, It was the coolest little device I'd ever seen. And so anyway, we recorded a sound bite, and I'd like to play it for you now. This is Shane R. Monroe live on location in Wenatchee, Washington, where most of the fun actually started. I'm here with Mike Lorraine, listener and fan of Dual Screen Radio, Retro Gaming Radio. Mike, what do you think of being here in Wenatchee at this weird time together?
It's been great. I mean, we basically spent the last hour sitting in Hastings, a local joint playing games in the coffee shop, just like we should be doing. So it's been a lot of fun.
And that is, of course, Nintendo DS and GP2X, for those of you wondering. And yes, I actually put my hands on a PSP, played some Archer McLean's Mercury. I'm sure we'll talk about that on a future show. Well, Mike, this was a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll get this in a show in the future. The sun's killing me here, even with my sunglasses on.
It's been fun. I'm glad I got to meet you.
This is a great time.
Yeah, we've had a great time.
Anyway, it was a really good time to meet one of our listeners and to talk to him and get a chance to see. He also was very generous, and he said, dude, I want to buy you a game, just to thank you for all the time you've given us. And I was like, well, I've got everything. And he said, well, let me buy you something. And so we looked, and there was a rare used. This was back when Trauma Center was not like reprinted, so it was really hard to get. And they had a copy of Trauma Center, a used copy, and he bought that for me, which I ended up kind of trading for the Opera DS browser. So it's kind of funny how a tight little network works. The DS community all seems to kind of get together and work out.
It's cool.
Anyway, so I wanted to share that because I thought that was really cool, and Mike had asked me after the last show if I was still going to put it in, and it's like, oh, man, it totally dropped off my radar, and I was all excited about putting it in, and then I forgot. So now it's in. Nice. So that's
really
fun.
Cool, man.
That's a fun thing.
They got this thing coming up in, here, this game show, and next month, and I'm going to be there on a Friday. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to get some business cards done. I want to try to give them out, just kind of advertise the show a little bit. But hopefully, maybe some point during the day, I'll run across somebody who happens to be not only from the area but a DSR listener as well.
That'd be cool. Get a picture and
yeah, man.
That'd be great. I want to post. I'd like to be able to post
site.
Those things.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
But hey, you know what? Before we get too far out of the news here, which we kind of already did, but I'm just looking and I totally missed this. It looks like FIFA 07. They've IGN's managed to crack open some screenshots and some new features that are going to be in the game. Unfortunately, there's no Wi-Fi, but
we knew that was coming.
Yeah, I kind of already saw that, but the graphics look a lot better. They look more like they took some of the FIFA Street graphics, which weren't actually too bad.
They were pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, they touched them up, and now they've got them on a full-fledged soccer game, a real soccer game.
Yeah,
and this looks pretty decent. You can record your own chants.
Really?
That's going to be one of the new features, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we failed to mention in Star Fox you can record your own voice and have the aliens talk back to you in that voice.
Yeah, instead of the gibberish.
It's your voice in gibberish.
Yeah, it asks you a sentimental questions, like who is your favorite person, or what did you have to eat last night, and then somehow it takes your vocal tones and relates them to how the characters are talking the game.
It's creepy.
It's really weird stuff.
It's interesting. But you mentioned that. I've just forgot about that.
Yeah, you're going to be able to make your own chants. So,
That's pretty cool, man.
Whatever.
How cool is that? That's
cool.
So
I'll have to get a link up there for that, too.
Yeah, very nice. The last news item I had, other than talking about what new videos have been posted this period, is the original guy that came up with the first Pass Me card. For those of you who are into DS Homebrew, you know what the Pass Me is. Netarium42 is the guy's little hacker name or whatever. He's working on hacking, apparently, from what I understand, the compact flash version of the Game Boy Advance Media Player, or the GB Amp as it's affectionately known, which is a very, very cheap media player, but it actually really sucks because you have to transcode your audio, transcode your video, your pictures, and everything. So it was pretty useless as a tool, except for running some smaller homebrew. But it runs on compact flash memory. Well, apparently this guy figured out that inside of that GB Amp is an actual IDE interface. That's how it connects to and talks to the compact flash card. So he's working on wiring up an actual IDE drive to plug into the GBA slot.
That's crazy.
That's crazy talk.
And you know what? I'll be honest. I've seen the pictures. It was insane.
That's insane. I mean, I don't think you would want to dangle this hard drive out of the bottom of your thing. But I guess if you're, I dangled the bottom of my thing. No, but I guess if you were going on a flight and you wanted to have a bunch of movies or some MP3s or something, you were just going to let your DS sit there and play media, I guess that would be useful. But who knows what people might be able to make out of that thing. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I just think that stuff's cool, whether I'm interested or not. I mean, just the way people are doing all this other nutty stuff with the thing, just out of the box like that is really cool.
Yeah. Last but not least, in our news section, this is sort of a new feature. We're going to tell you what new videos have been released, because you know how we feel. No video, no play. If they're not willing to release a video of their their DS game ahead of time so that we can see whether we're going to get screwed or not, and there's several.
I like to call that no play, no play.
No play, no pay. So no video, we don't buy it. So we'd like to, every show we're going to give you a little list of what new videos are out, give you links to them. Most of these are on YouTube. There's a couple that are outside of that. This episode we have Lunar Nights, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, Kirby Squeak Squad, Yoshi Island 2, Aragon, Zelda, Phantom Hourglass, Spider-Man Battle for New York. So there you have it.
Yeah.
That wraps up the touch and go segment.
I don't quite understand that Spider-Man game either, by the way.
Dude, I don't know, man.
I don't know what the heck they did to the Green Goblin, but I mean, I could have sworn that was the Abomination.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into a religious discussion with comics, man, because people just get fanatical about it. It's like, what's that little blob Green Goblin? Okay, let me just kill it.
They're saying, hey, it's the Green Goblin, and I'm saying to myself, no, it's not. It's the Abomination. And they're like, no, that's the Green Goblin. I'm like, what? Since when is the Green Goblin the Hulk? And here, I looked it up, and sure enough, the Green Goblin looks like the Hulk now. I'm like, what the? Like,
I'm so confused, man.
I mean, first of all, we have enough green characters as it is in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, what's that about?
But now we got yet another green character that looks like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. I don't get it. Not for me to understand. Mail sack, of course, no interesting letters this month, so we're just going to skip right through that. Now what we'd like to do is to talk about dualscreenradio.com, the sister site to this show. And once again,
which can be reached at www.dualscreenradio.com.
For those of you who missed it for the cheap seats, dualscreenradio.com. There you go.
Dual screen radio.
Play ball. Anyway.
In the ring with Bigfoot and Gravedigger.
This Sunday at the Tacoma Dome. Yeah, very nice. Anyway, dualscreenradio.com. We've a lot of people listen to this show as a podcast, which means they've never come to the website, they've never been to the forums, they've never contributed to the DSR community. And I continue to say how bad off that is, because this show is only a third of the trifecta. The website,
much like Nintendo, we have a 3-tier system.
Yes, exactly. We have a 3-tier system. The website has undergone massive changes. We've updated it visually. It's a lot more contrast-friendly. Thanks to Chris and a lot of his little graphic upgrades to the site, it actually looks considerably better. It looks very nice. We've added a search engine to search the games database. The games database is huge, folks. If you're not in on this, you're missing out.
You know what? Speaking of that, did you realize how many we have in there now?
It's like 360 games or something, isn't it?
Well, actually, I thought it was a little lower. I thought we were actually almost to 300.
Oh, maybe I was. Maybe I was thinking 260.
But still, that's awesome, dude. I mean, we're almost to 300.
That's fantastic. The games database, when linked up to your forum membership, it's a community thing, folks. You sign up, and you have access to not only our discussion forums, but you have access to our brand new online chat system called Flash Chat.
Dude, it's awesome.
It's truly awesome. It's
Double
a great
chat
tool.
has taken up my work time like no tomorrow.
No more need for Java. No more need for IRC connectivity. You can actually hit this thing from work if you're behind a firewall. All that good stuff. And lots of people are hanging out in there. It's absolutely fantastic. And finally, the website itself, the dualscreenradio.com website, is loaded with good stuff. Exchanging friend codes. You can add your friend codes, get the friend codes of the other members. You can even do it within the chat now. So if you hop into the chat room, let's throw down some Mario Kart. You need to trade numbers. You just click on the guy's name and say, show me his friend codes. And a window pops up and you get his friend codes. All compliments of going through the website.
And you know what else is cool?
Yeah.
The fact that you can now search for a game in the database.
Yeah, you can search, and you can search the description in case you're not sure what the name of the game is. We've gone through a huge effort to add complementary community features to what we consider the best Nintendo DS podcast out there. So that being said, if all you're doing is listening to the show, you're missing 2/3 of what the Dual Screen Radio has to offer. So please, dualscreenradio.com. It's not hard, folks. You can Google that. If you forget dualscreenradio.com, Google Dual Screen Radio, and it'll tell you that it's dualscreenradio.com.
Awesome.
Track your games. I mean, this is great. This has actually saved my bacon on a couple of occasions. You know, the release dates of Nintendo DS games change like I change socks. And I know what it's like to go to GameStop on the Tuesday of the week and say, hey, I was on this website and they said that Conductor was coming out. I'd like to pick up a copy. Well, no, it got pushed back. Well, that makes you look like an idiot. I don't know how many times you've done that, but I've done it a bunch of times. If you put new games on your watch list on your Dual Screen Radio account, well, you do the opposite? You find games that are...
No. I go in there with the amount of a trade-in game, and then I totally throw the guy off.
Yeah.
I go in there and say the game is $20, and he'll laugh and say no, and then it turns out it really is.
It really is $20. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know how many times I've gone in and said, "Oh, well, this is out now. I was on your website a couple weeks ago, and it's supposed to be out today." And it's like, "Oh, well, the game got pushed back." Using the watch list, you can browse the games database, find games that you own, add them to your owned list, send that list to your friends. You can add games to your wish list, send that to your rich relatives who are going to buy you a new Christmas present. That's how you send them what games you need. And finally, you can put games on a watch list. If we make any changes, if the date slips and we change the date, if new box art's available, if we update the microphone capabilities, whatever we do to the entry, you're going to get dropped an email that lets you know that the entry's been changed. And you can jump up there and find out whether the release date slipped or whatever. So, we put a lot of work into this. Use this stuff, man. I mean, these are the tools.
Of course, we have the new commenting system.
You know what? Good catch. I totally forgot about that. Also, as part of our 2.0 Dual Screen Radio website, we've allowed every member who signed up for Dual Screen Radio to go to every game in the database and add a comment. Now, this isn't threaded comments. This is not a blog. This is not a post. This is a way for each person to have one opportunity to sound off on each game in the database. And you're allowed to go back and edit it or delete it, but you're not allowed to reply to replies to replies. That just gets goofy. But everybody gets a chance. Everybody gets a chance to sound off on every game. So while Chris and I may follow your taste completely in video gaming, we may be the total opposite, and you might need other people's input on whether you should buy this game or not. That's what the commenting system is for. And people are going miles out of their way to write incredibly detailed alternate reviews of these other titles.
Oh yeah, some guys have been really good, especially this guy his screen name is Chris, and he's put some really good stuff up on there. It's really neat. He's really
the guy that uses a little jump man for his avatar.
Yeah, so he already was good in my book, by having that avatar. But man, good job, dude, with the reviews.
Yeah, and the comment system actually rates you by stars. The number of posts that you put up give you stars. And he's at he's got 2 stars already. He's up past 20 posts in the commenting system. So, that kind of gives you a little incentives. Hey, I'm a 2-star poster, 3-star poster. So, very exciting. So we're trying really hard to make this the ultimate DS community, folks. And again, you're listening to the show. We love that. But if you're not visiting the website at www.dualscreenradio.com, you're missing out. Trust me. There's so much to see, especially with the new Flash chat and the comment system. The whole system is considerably more two-way. Wouldn't you say, Chris?
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were asking me a question.
No, that's okay. I thought I might have heard you cut out. We've been having technical difficulties.
Yeah, we're having
this show.
some trouble with the show.
And I thought maybe he clipped out.
I heard a
and
little
we
tick
lost him.
too. That's why I got thrown off because I'm like, am I still connected?
Hello, testing.
Yes,
yes,
here and available for your listening pleasure.
Well, hello. Well, unless you have anything else, Chris, I think we're about ready to terminate this guy.
I think you covered it pretty well. I mean,
very
lots
exciting
of neat stuff. I think the overall look of the site, the 2.0 version, is just cleaner. It's a little more easy on the eyes.
Definitely.
It's not dark and drab. And I think the whole layout just is great. And I know already people have commented that they like how everything's settled on the left side of the screen. Easy point and click.
Yeah, we went back to that.
menus.
We started that way, and I tried to free up some resolution to make some more room for information. It's like, we finally got to a point to where we know what's going to be on the site. We've kind of settled in our services, because it was growing so fast. We needed to have more room for expansion. So we finally got to a point to where we know what we're going to offer. We're going to refine everything that we're offering now in the future and, kind of leave it at that. So,
Good
very
stuff,
cool.
man.
Well, I guess that'll wrap it up for yet another edition of Dual Screen Radio. This is Shane R. Monroe.
This is Chris Angel.
And remember, listening is good.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good. And once again, it's www.dualscreenradio.com.
Yeah. Very nice, Chris. Take care,
Bye,
everybody.